Welcome, everyone. We're entering a world not so distant from this one, where the boundaries between flesh and machine blur into obscurity, and neon-lit dreams collide with steel-clad nightmares. Welcome to the electrifying realm of Cyborg. This is a Cyborg actual play campaign using the Cyborg OSR rules published by Free League Publishing. I am DG, the Game Master, and I'm ready to guide you punks, you gutter trash, through this capitalist nightmare that will grind your souls down to a fine powder and scatter it to the wind. Welcome back, punks! You think you're on top of the world, don't yous? You think because you've made a name for yourselves that you're riding high. Well, I got news for you, punks. Weeks have flown by since your last job, since you got out of that bodega alive, snatched Solitaire's dead drop, and proved you could get a job done. And despite the promise of more work flooding in, you've been living your shit-kicking, pointless lives as if nothing happened. You've been trying to stretch your creds as far as they can go, subsisting off the most heavily processed plastic that only barely technically counts as food. All the while lying on your stained, soiled mattresses in your shithole apartments, dreaming of the limelight. Well, maybe tonight you might have a chance to crawl your way a little bit up the ladder. Because somebody's heard your name, somebody has become aware of your reputation, and tonight Patton calls you all together for a new job. And so we open with you all assembled in the front of Patton's store, gathered in a circle around his recently restocked emporium of ancient weapons and memorabilia from countries that no longer exist. He's stuck a curious sign up on the wall above the counter that wasn't there last time you visited. It reads, "Saying please is free. Being a smartass will cost you extra." And then there's a little cartoon image of an army man unloading a minigun into someone who at this point is more meat than human being. Patton comes rolling out from behind the counter, his treads shaking the entire building as he reveals himself, and behind him, someone who must be your client. Someone who could only be your client. A rather short, nervous-looking middle-aged man wearing an ill-fitting grey suit with thinning, balding silver hair and wire-framed glasses. You take one look at him and the word corp is written all over him. 10! Go ahead, PU.
PU leans over to Azur and says, "I smell suit."
I smell money.
Why has this fella got tattoos written all over his face?
As he approaches, Charlie, who stands in the doorway of the store, just ponders him, and Rusty opens his mouth, revealing long, sharp, metallic teeth, and loudly enunciates the word growl. Growl. "The only thing we're smelling in here is your stench, PU! My God, man!" shouts Patton. "You seem to get worse every time you come in here."
I'm glad you noticed. I've been working on it.
"Well, at least you got work ethic for something."
Yeah, well, don't kid yourself.
All right, soldiers, form up! He barks the order. And, as usual, you take your spots, lining up in a line in front of him, essentially cutting off your already nervous-looking client from the only exit to the store. This seems to make him look even more nervous. He reaches behind his neck with his right hand and scratches the back of it and nervously chuckles. This is, what was your name, soldier? The man looks at you, then at Patton and nods. He says, Mr. Greensleeves, Colin Greensleeves at your service. He proffers a hand. I am a middle manager at TG Labs.
TG Labs, huh? P is probably the first to grab his hands. Very nice to meet ya, Colin.
His face sort of screws up in revulsion as he takes your hand, and you feel him trying to squirm away out of your grasp, but to his credit, he does let you shake his hand. As soon as he pulls it away, though, he quickly brushes it furiously on the front of his suit, leaving long black streaks on his breast pocket, and thinks twice before offering his hand to anyone else in the group.
He chuckles to himself, seeing that his mark has been left on the corpo.
Now, I know you soldiers don't like doing jobs for the enemy, says Patton. The enemy being the corps, especially TG Labs, and I know you got beef with them, PU.
Yeah, just about.
So I'll let Corporal Greensleeves here give you his intel, and you can decide whether or not you want to accept the mission. Greensleeves nods, and he says, well, perhaps ex-middle manager TG Labs is more appropriate. You see, my job's been called into question, has been on tenterhooks for quite some time, and, well, knowing that I've got about a week left before my supervisor, well, as they say, shit-cans me in the biz, I figured I'd tender my resignation early. Now, as part of that resignation, I thought I would fashion my own severance package. That is, I acquired a little specimen from the R&D department, a prosthetic gallbladder that enables whoever it's installed into to break down the most deadly of toxins and effectively purge the body of disease. All very promising in the field of health and human longevity, I would say. But here's the thing.
While he's talking, P is
just motioning
his
with
hand.
his head. In the background, Rusty's just sort of curled up on the floor, and he says, snort, as the dogs dropped off to sleep. Well, in the interest of not getting caught, I discarded the object down a receptacle, thinking I would pick it up later, and his face grows red with embarrassment as he says, well, it turned out it was a recycling chute, and, well, long story short, my ticket to a severance package is now sitting over in the junkyard at Moss Sanitation over in Mosscroft, waiting for some enterprising young fellows and ladies like yourself to pick it up, yes?
Well, I'll tell you what, Corpy. You know how to pick him. I'm your man.
I reckon I got something to say at this here junction.
Patton just smiles, and with a flourish he says, told you they were right for the job. So what do you say, soldiers? You got your mission objective. Go to this Moss Sanitation, find this gallbladder, bring it back to Mr. Greensleeves here, and...
I think I have something to say at this junction, and then you just cut right across me, Mr. Patton. I don't think that's my neighborly of you.
Would be because we're not at the questions part of the briefing, soldier, and 3, 2, 1, now we are, so go ahead.
Greensleeves was a ballad, came out of old England before everything started to go to hell. Various arguments about whether it came out in the 1500s or 1600s, when realistically it was most likely produced in about 1570, 1580 or thereabouts. And a gallbladder is used to break down things like oils and fats and stuff like that.
Right you are, says Greensleeve.
I would like my
Most of it having
my
gone over his
screen
head.
to start showing a couple of music notes and to start playing out Greensleeves.
I heard a mention of 60 or 70. I heard numbers in there, so I can only assume that you're asking what I'm willing to pay for this job. So I'll lay it out there on the table. You get the gallbladder back for me, and I'd be willing to provide 500 credits to you, plus 1,000 off any debts or owed services that you need smoothed over. Does that sound acceptable?
500 each, of course.
500 each, and, well, a Moss sanitation. If my gallbladders ended up over there, I'm sure there's plenty of other things that might fetch a decent price on the black market. You can help yourself. A veritable treasure trove.
Whatever we can find in a junkyard.
I'm good at going through trash, so this'll be an easy one. But Frank, you was asking about why the gallbladder, basically?
No, I was just saying he was talking about how he lost his gallbladder, and I was just pointing out that gallbladder is used for breaking down oils and fats, and
No
he
questions.
ought to
Only
do
comments.
something about it.
Oh, I don't think he means his goal. Yeah, well, we'll leave it for now. He'll figure it out. Don't worry.
You lost your gallbladder right there, Mr. Greensleeves.
Greensleeves just sort of stares back slack-jawed, and then finally you see it click behind his eyes that you're asking him essentially how he's feeling with his gallbladder missing, and he just stammers, not my Right, yes, so as you can see, it's very important that I get it back. You understand? After all, it's very hard to live a comfortable life without being to break down oils and fats and what have you.
Frank is gonna look him up and down. Did you describe him as slightly portly?
Slightly short and portly, yeah.
I reckon in your case, gallbladder is doubly important.
Well,
He chuckles.
XD.
I say, Sir Patton, they certainly know how to make a client feel like he's in good hands, I'll say.
Listen, you need someone doing a dirty job. There's no one better than us. We do it properly dirty. Not that I'm happy about any money going back to the G fuckers, but I don't exactly need to make it any worse with them.
Point taken, says Greensleeves. So, Patton glares at each of you in turn, and he says, "Well, soldiers, you've had your briefing. Do you accept the mission, or do I need to recruit some more slack-jawed conscripts into this fine service?"
Fuck it. I'll do it. I need the creds. There's nothing extra you've done, is there? You haven't stashed anything in the gallbladder I need to know about, or anything else you're looking for over there?
Well, no, the gallbladder itself is the main value, but,
Is anyone else likely to be looking for it? Specifically.
See, I can't say for sure, says Greensleeves, but TG Labs will have, registered its absence by now, and, well, loss prevention will almost assuredly take a protocol into their hands as soon as it goes up the chain, so I would say you could assume you're not the only ones out there looking for it. However, I can say with quite some level of confidence that they may not know it's in the junkyard.
May not. We'll find out.
Rats and seagulls, I reckon.
Yeah,
There'll be a problem.
Whatever happens, I'm gonna keep my face covered. I don't need them exactly. Seeing me around, they aren't particularly happy. Listen. Oh shit, 1 second.
Face covered.
Colin, you weren't around when that mega soap serum thingy happened, were you?
Oh, I believe I was in the mail room back then. Didn't hear the specifics, but understand some of the middle management are still resentful over that whole incident. And believe you me, when I heard that a certain PU was in Patton's employ, you'd be the very same, wouldn't you?
Who's asking? Who's PU? Where are we? Hey, shouldn't we leave? You need that gallbladder, don't you?
Indeed, says Greensleeves. Well, you've got your mission, says Patton. So when you've retrieved the package, bring it back here, and Mr. Greensleeves will effect payment. Now, briefing complete, assuming there's no more questions, you are dismissed! And then he gives you a salute as his tank treads immediately begin to whir. The whole building vibrates once again as he rumbles away beyond the counter into the dark back recesses of the shop. I'll pass the time, admiring Sir Patton's wonderful collection, says Greensleeves, turning his back to you and contemplating a 20th century rocket launcher that's hanging on the wall. Best of luck, and he reaches up, presses his index finger to the side of his temple, and a little icon of his face blinks in the top right-hand corner of your RCDs. You can contact me on this channel if you have any questions, or to alert me that the job is complete and arrange pickup. Best of luck, and if you do well, I might have more jobs for you in the future.
Good.
Alrighty. Would you be familiar with the junkyard area?
Familiar with many junkyards. Maybe not this one specifically, but PU would be familiar with Mosscroft. Mosscroft is, well, there are sections of Psy that are designated for industrial use only. Mosscroft is one of them, but industry in this context almost exclusively means the waste industry. The plumes of smoke that spill forth from the Mosscroft skyline are incinerators burning millions of metric tons of rubbish produced by the city each day. Almost the entire surface area of the little island is devoted to landfills, junkyards, and corporate recycling concerns. The fact that Mr. Greensleeves has seemingly narrowed it down to this one specific junkyard, Moss Sanitation in particular, down south by the edge of Mosscroft in an area known as the Reek because of the sheer concentration of trash heaps and junkyards means he's got some good intel.
I wonder if there's potentially, maybe a tracker on this very expensive gallbladder that, might lead to some complications.
I imagine we'll come across some complications. Is there any way I can poke my head around TG Lab systems to see if there's any sort of recognition that this is missing and that there might be a response forthcoming.
Sure. So you slide over to the net jack behind the counter of Patton's Emporium, rip the cord out of your cyber deck and plug it in, and as you swipe your hands in front of you, the little shop falls away as the zeros and ones and the green wireframes of cyberspace well around you. TG Labs is easy enough to find. In the cyber landscape, it's a big, gleaming pillar of light down in the virtual representation of North Central, one of many gleaming high-rise buildings on the virtual city skyline. Getting to it is not the problem. Getting in, however, might be. As you glide towards the pillar of light, you find tiny little swarms of red insects. Intrusion countermeasures buzzing around it, forming an almost impenetrable wall, a maelstrom of buzzing and hissing as you draw close.
I think I'll just look and appreciate it for now, and assume there'll be a response forthcoming.
Yeah.
You reckon that bug zapper back at Patton's office would do the trick here?
I mean, if you can bring it into the computer, maybe. I'm not gonna say that. You might actually try.
You could make an attempt to hack in if you like, Azure. You probably won't get very far without getting caught, but you could maybe penetrate the outer layer, see if you could scrub for any mentions of missing merchandise or anything like that, give you some vague idea of what's going on. Hopefully not leave a trace while you're at it.
I'm thinking it might actually cause more problems if I try at this point.
Yeah, Pew after knowingly going into the nest that is TG's bullshit. He's obviously not happy about the fact that TG is so close at this point. He's tugging at his shirt's neck, which is dry rotted and shit. But he's gonna lean over to Azura while she's in the deck and be like, "Yeah, be careful. You don't exactly want to fuck with the TG folks. They're big wigs. They're the biggest wigs."
I'm familiar.
Could do though, Azure, is while you're in the cyber, you could maybe instead see if you can get into Moss Sanitation. See if you can tap into their surveillance, their manifests, get the party a map to work with, perhaps.
That does sound like an easier mark. Let's try that.
You glide over cyberspace towards the virtual representation of Mosscroft, and Moss Sanitation is one of thousands of tiny little gleaming orbs in the virtual expanse. Protected by the most surface level basic of protections. Something you'll need to be a little careful about, but shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Go ahead and make me a knowledge technology roll.
Alright, that should be a +4 total. Watch me roll real low. Do I want to use a glitch already?
Up to you.
Got 2 this time.
The DR is only going to be 10, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's 6 at the moment. Even dropping it by 4 would match it, right?
It would, yes. You want to
matching it is good.
Or
matching
you
it's
could try
good.
and exceed it with extras. You never know.
I mean, if I drop it by 4, then I may as well just drop it by 4 and take the win at 6.
Yeah. All right. So you're prepared to fight off the intrusion countermeasures as you breach the data node, but to your surprise, you find that half of them seem to have already been disabled as big spiky naval mines with cartoonish angry faces descend on you. About half of them linger at the very edges of the data node, their angry faces instead upside-down smiles with X's for eyes, signifying they've been taken offline. You dodge underneath the ones that are still active as they swoop towards you, snatch a cache of data, and rip the cord out of your neck, returning to meat space. You manage to secure a 3D map of the junkyard, which will come into play as you get closer to it, but perhaps more importantly, you determined that the most recent delivery of junk actually arrived only 2 hours ago, and according to the data cache, the vast majority of this junk probably is still being processed, probably hasn't actually been sorted and divided up into the various parts of the junkyard. They're still sifting through it, trying to find what's recyclable, what goes straight in the incinerator, what gets tossed in the landfill, etc.
Does that give me much idea of how much time we have to get to it before it gets processed?
Based on the records that you're able to scrape, processing a shipment usually takes an entire shift for the staff, so about 4 or 5 hours. Then there's a shift change, and the new people start to sort through the next delivery of garbage as the automated machinery distributes the previous lot to all the various places it needs to go.
Sounds good. It sounds like we have a couple hours to get over there and see if we can grab it before it's processed, or just after when they're on break.
There's bridges in between the ports and Mosscroft, isn't there?
Indeed there are.
Assuming we can drive there on axes.
Yeah, driving
Yeah, we
there
can
on axes
probably get
fairly
there.
easily.
We got some bridges and shit between the ports and all that. It's not too far.
You see Charlie just peering down at his dog, contemplating. Finally, he says, "Rusty's good at sniffing through junkyards, aren't you, boy? Bark! Bark!" And with that, you're on your way. As you approach the door to Patton's shop, PU, in your RCD, the time in the top left corner ticks over. Precisely 6 p.m. And almost coincidentally, as it ticks over to 6 p.m, as you push open the door of the shop and are about to step on the street, you're nearly bowled off your feet as a tiny metallic spider-shaped drone scuttles in from the street outside, its 8 legs rattling on the floorboards, and it makes a beeline straight towards you. It stops in front of you, and without making any sounds, without saying anything at all, one of its spindly little legs reaches up, a compartment on the back of its spherical body clicks open, and it reaches in and fishes out, handing to you a styrofoam cup. The styrofoam cup has a drawing of a bowl of ramen printed on the front, along with a label. Wasabi burger, 17 alarm ramen.
Oh shit, Burger Boy got something new.
Is the ramen like cooked, or is it just like
Extremely alarming.
Instant ramen. The directions on the lid say just add air.
He's gonna pick it down. He's gonna crouch down, grab it from the little spider butt, hold it up in front of him. Oh hell yeah! And he's gonna grab the lid with his teeth and pull it open like that.
As you open it, Rusty just hangs his head. Whimper! Obviously apprehensive. The spider drone watches as you peel the lid off, and then it scuttles away back out the door from whence it came. And as the air rushes into the cup, a chemical reaction activates. You hear a hiss, and a plume of smoke rises from the cup. And when it clears a second later, you're peering down into a cooked cup of ramen. It looks like, well, it says it's ramen. It actually looks like slimy white worms bathed in a very fluorescent orange substance.
Oh, this is just like Ma used to make.
I don't think he's gonna hesitate. He's gonna gulp that down.
Yeah, your iron jaws make quick work of it. You just pour the cup into your mouth. You register the spice as it heads down your throat, but it's mixed in with things like turpentine and oil and fungus, and it's barely more than a little tickle as the spice ends up coating the inside of your stomach and your nerves perk up. Anyone watching you would see your pupils suddenly dilate, your eyes grow wider as the spice high kicks in. And I take this time to reveal that someone who remains unnamed for now, has signed you up to a daily delivery of Wasabi Burger 17 Alarm Ramen. It arrives precisely at 6 PM every day, and what it means is once per session, you may use the spice in the ramen to halve the damage you take from one single source of damage.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hard to feel pain when your nerves are on fire.
That's great.
Did you just say a single source of damage?
Single source of damage, yep.
Fantastic.
Whoa! Oh, that's some good shit. Oh, well, it's good to know he makes more than just fucking burgers.
And so PU's face is now red, there's steam pouring out from his ears, and suddenly invigorated, he leads you out onto the neon-soaked streets towards Axie, who's parked on a patch of cracked asphalt with overgrown foliage surrounding it, and for a second it's hard to realise where the taxi starts and the fungus and the overgrowth begins. It's only been parked here for 20 minutes and already it seems to have become a fixture of the local wildlife.
PU's going to slam his hand on the top of Axie to crack the doors open and slide in over the cans and mess and goop that is congealed itself to the seats to get himself into the driver's seat.
Don't mind the blanket back there.
Go ahead,
Gingerly,
Ajay.
I try and find myself a spot.
Yeah, you cleared out a spot last time, but it's already buried under yet more rubbish. Frank, I presume you just sink right into the filth. Not too fussed
Normally Frank climbs up onto the roof rack. This time there's a brief delay because he's trying to free a seagull that has gotten trapped. You know, like how they get caught in an
like
oil
a
slick
around its neck.
Yeah, he's gotten the seagull free and is cleaning it up as best as
you can't actually tell it's a seagull.
The seagull just gives Frank a grateful look, and then as soon as it's extricated from the rubbish, spreads its wings and flies away, glaring at PU before it disappears behind one of the buildings, and you lose it in a haze of neon.
You see Frank's feet dangling on the right next to the pillars of the front of the windscreen. You know, there's right on the left because you know he's not going to occlude your view. So he's up on the roof though. So I'm ready.
As long as he hangs on, I don't think it really matters.
Let's
He's a tough guy. He'll be fine.
Let's see what PU has in store for us tonight, right, boy? Says Charlie as the dog opens its mouth and a little multi-tool extends, bzz, clips into the radio, and as the engine roars to life, PU's mix fills the taxi cab.
Hell yeah.
As you and your fellow runners pile into the stolen taxi, you can feel the pulse of the city resonating through the cracked leather seats. The vehicle's flickering holographic ad displays momentarily illuminate your diverse crew. The rhythmic hum of the cab's electric engine adds a surreal soundtrack to your journey through the sprawling metropolis. The cab accelerates from the ports, leaving behind the dazzling neon lights and energetic crowds of the entertainment district. You watch as the jumble of lights transforms into a distant, fading memory. Glowing marquees, holographic billboards, and the intoxicating scent of street food recede into the rearview mirror. The night's sense of abandon gives way to the encroaching shadows of the city's industrial underbelly. Cross over the pollution-choked canal, and soon enough you've entered Mosscroft, a labyrinth of towering smokestacks, automated assembly lines, and gritty urban decay. The once pristine buildings, now corroded by time and pollution, loom ominously above you. Smokestacks rise like ancient spires, belching plumes of acrid smoke into the leaden skies. The streets are slick with a thin layer of grime, and the ambient stench of a million junkyards fills the air, a noxious cocktail of metals, chemicals, and decay. The taxi navigates through a maze of narrow alleyways, the worn tires screeching against cracked asphalt. Dilapidated storefronts and hollowed-out buildings once teeming with life now stand as forsaken husks of what they used to be. Your stolen taxi winds its way deeper into this maze of despair, and you can't help but feel like a small cog in an unforgiving mechanical world where survival means embracing the shadows and exploiting every opportunity. And as the taxi draws nearer to Moss Sanitation, you see Azure reach up, tap her finger on a key on her cyber deck, and the map of the junkyard that she fished from the data cache blinks up on your RCDs.
Oh, what do
right
we have
there
here?
in Owlbear.
Alrighty, good work.
Taxi rolls to a stop on the side of the road, a couple of meters away from the entrance of the junkyard. The big metal walls towering over you, at least 20 feet high and topped with reams of barbed wire. As you alight from the taxi and your boots crunch along the grime-coked street, you can see directly in front of you a single entrance, a tiny corrugated iron gatehouse built into the wall. But according to the map, the junkyard is quite large, and it may be that this is not the only means of gaining entry. Either way, the gatehouse in front of you appears to be manned. There's a light on inside spilling out onto the street, and a big neon sign in one of the windows reads, "Open."
They, take walk-ins, or do you have to make an appointment?
I don't think we want to make an appointment.
Yeah, not for a place like this. There's nothing on the, nothing at all on the window that would suggest you need to make an appointment. There's not even a list of opening times.
But when does anyone inside really sleep, to be fair?
Yeah.
It's not exactly the sort of place you come to browse, usually.
Well, maybe you, but, you know, I've got my secrets.
So,
Do we have anyone manning the gatehouse at the moment?
you can't see through the window. All you can tell is the lights are on and it says it's open, but you would imagine someone would be in there. You just can't see them.
I imagine we're looking to get to the sorting floor.
Yeah, most
If they're
likely.
in the middle of processing the most recent shipment of recycling.
Yeah, but
It
most
looks
likely.
like there might be an entrance around the side.
There might be.
Sort of leads in there. It kind of looks like that's where you might get a truck coming in with.
Yeah, this little node
Shipment.
here. According to the map, that is indeed a loading bay.
yeah, I don't exactly do front doors. So,
Front door's always a bad idea.
yeah, if anyone's gonna see us coming, it's from there.
You don't think Rusty's charming enough to have any guard's heart melt? Says Charlie.
He's
They might want to recycle you.
Yeah, they'll probably chuck you in the furnace, little guy.
Whimper, says Rusty. Good point, boy. Would rather not have you be recycled. Well, leads the way, says Charlie, gesturing towards PU. What's Frank think? Frank's just sort of shrugs, trudges alongside PU as you make your way towards the loading bay on the map.
His usual slumped shoulder gait as he slings along.
And so, the junkyard is large, and just making your way around the perimeter takes all of 15-20 minutes. The junkyard seems to take up the majority of at least 2 city blocks. You hope it's worth it. You hope this will get you inside without drawing attention as you round the corner, and sure enough, see a big metal roller door cut into the fence facing the street. Normally a truck would pull up here, you think. The staff would open the roller door and the truck would reverse in and start to offload its junk. At the moment, though, no shipments are due and the roller door has been pulled down completely. It doesn't look like there's any normal entrance, so you'll either have to find some way to get it open or make an entrance of your own.
Holy shit.
Does there appear to be any form of control for the door that we can see?
So Azure, as you approach the door, go ahead and make me a, let's say, presence investigate check.
Do I have investigate? I do not. So, oh gosh, this is not going to be good. It's a -2.
Presence, I'd say you can add insight if you like.
I can add insight. Well, that'll put it up to a 10.
10? So, it doesn't look like there are any controls on this side. There's a little panel dug into the wall to the right of the roller door, and there's a speaker on it and a single button. It's obvious to you that this is used by the truck drivers, the delivery men, to signal that they've arrived and request that the door be opened, but it must be connected to something on the other side, logic would dictate. So you could take a chance and maybe hack into it, see if you can make it malfunction.
Would do. The other option I was thinking, if someone wants to try and claim there's another shipment. Although I feel like that might backfire.
Well, I mean, if anyone's gonna be, a garbage man, it's gonna be for you.
You might.
You would think.
You gaming up with you?
I mean, might as well
that
give it
would
a
alert
shot.
them to our presence.
Yeah, true.
Although
We don't
the
exactly
chances of
want
a
to.
large door opening might also alert them to the presence anyway.
Can we get any eyes on the inside? Are the cameras still down, or what's happening?
Like there's any cameras. At least none that you could find in your quick sweep, and now that you're here in person, you can't physically see any. It is, after all, a junkyard, and they're probably not too concerned with theft.
And yet there's a giant wall.
Yeah, but what isn't nailed down inside is gonna walk away. So
why don't we just open it? Says Frank, peering up at the roller door.
Not so hasty, big guy. Maybe we see if we can't ease it open before we use your methods.
Let's see if I can ease it open then.
Well, can knock first, says Frank, and he raises a hand about to knock, and then seeing the glare from PU just stops in his tracks and shrugs.
It's always better to avoid attention.
Yeah, you go techie wiry and shit. I'll try and get at the lock.
So you have a couple options you can do for this, Azure. You could try to get into the innards, find exactly how the mechanism works, and just surgically hack at the thing that'll open it and let you in. Or you could go ahead and use your Boom Boom app to just blow the mechanism entirely.
And hope that opens it, or at least makes it not locked?
Yeah.
Could PU assist by working on the mechanical lock? So he's on the outside?
PU could, yeah.
Alright, we'll give the sneaky a go.
Alright, so go ahead, make me a knowledge technology check.
That should be a +4 on this. Oh, it's much better. 19.
Nice.
19, nice. So you move up to the panel and you see a little screw on the corner. You unscrew it, lift the speaker off, and sure enough, there's an access point. You slide the access cord for your cyber deck in and slip past the intrusion countermeasures. Again, you're kind of surprised at how they don't appear to be active at all. At first you think maybe this just doesn't have any, maybe it's just not secured in any way, but you can see traces of where the ice used to be.
We are not the first people here. There's someone else here looking for the gallbladder, I imagine.
And how much did you roll? How much did you roll again?
19.
19, yeah, that's definitely enough to not leave any trace. So, you see the friend-foe register buried in the data, the thing that recognizes visitors as authorized personnel and grants them access, unlocks the door. You add fake names, one for each of the members of the party, to the register, and then you pull the cord out, returning to meet space. There's a click somewhere behind the door as the electronic defenses are disabled, and this allows PU, without requiring a roll, to slip up, slide his lockpicks into a gap in the door, jiggle them around for a second, and then step back with a flourish as the huge metal roller shutter just slowly rises, this whole wall seeming to shudder as it does so. Access to the junkyard itself, piles of debris, minutiae, and remnants of the city scattered around inside, seemingly without any rhyme or reason.
Isn't it beautiful?
Don't get too distracted. We came for one thing.
But there's so much good stuff here. I mean, look at that. That boot's probably like 50 years old.
Well, come back. Come back.
Fine. 500 credits first.
Frank's just looking around and he says, wishing I brought my dumpster with me, as he follows you through the gateway. And as you move through the gateway into the junkyard itself, I would like Azure and Charlie, and I'll roll Azure and PU, and I'll roll for Charlie and Frank to go ahead and make presence checks for me, and you can add either insight or perception.
I'll add insight.
Oh, nice.
19.
I got an 18.
18. Hold up, says Frank, raising a hand as he points ahead, and about 20 or so feet ahead of you, slowly making its way between two large piles of trash. A single large robot, taller than even Frank, putters around on tank treads. It seems to stop at one of the piles of trash, extract pieces of scrap metal and wire from it, and then carry it back across the yard and dump it in another pile of trash, unloading or sorting the bounty of a previous delivery. Each time it does so, it stops, and you see its pipe-shaped head with a single glowing red eye at the end stop and scan the surroundings. You notice that its implements on the end of its appendages, ostensibly used for transporting trash, would be nasty weapons in a pinch, and you get the impression that this loader bot serves double duty as a security guard as well. Hasn't noticed you yet, however.
Yeah, of course we got company.
What is the viability of... Where's my pointer? Of just cutting straight across the trash? Like, I'm assuming we're looking at sort of piles and piles and a kind of an impenetrable wall.
All the piles on the map, consider them to be like huge, impenetrable mountains. Like there's so much trash, they're effectively just solid rock. You could hike over them if you wanted to. If you wanted to dig through them, you could, but it would take a bit of effort.
You said this thing seems to be on it's like serving double duty. It's keeping watch over the yard itself.
Wondering what sort of abilities Charlie has to muck with robots.
Charlie looks around and says, maybe Rusty could dig a tunnel in the trash and we could crawl through. Otherwise... The dog looks back at Charlie and lets out a bark, bark, eagerly wagging its tail, and Charlie says, I could send him to run past the robot as a distraction.
I might be able to get one of us close to it. Keep it from properly registering the person until they can get close enough to do something to it, but that would be up to someone to then be able to disable it.
Well, I'm just wondering if these things, work here. They may be pretty concerned about what happens to the trash, right?
Perhaps.
So let's say a little fire starts.
Yeah?
They'd have to go and take care of it,
How many more are there, though, in the full junkyard?
Knowing our luck, probably a fuck ton. Charlie, why don't you try the dog tunneling? I don't exactly want to get close to that thing. Looks like it's got a mean left hook.
Charlie nods. Right, I'll send Rusty out, and when the robot goes after him, you run past using the trash as cover, okay?
I'll blend right in, don't you worry.
Alright, boy, you ready? Bark, bark! Go get it! Charlie points, and as he does so, the dog lumbers forwards, the skin suit sort of hanging lopsided on its mechanical frame as it darts forwards. Bark, bark! Bark, bark, bark! And the loader bot immediately turns, swivels on the spot, and raises one of its arms that happens to end in a big metal mallet as its treads roar and it rushes towards the dog. Bark! Bark! Says Rusty as he darts in between a gap in the trash and disappears into the nearby mountain. And while the loader bot is distracted, if you'd like to run past it, I will ask you to go ahead and make me a dexterity athletics check if you're just going to run for it, or a dexterity acrobatics check if you're going to sort of pirouette through the trash and try to use that as cover.
Sorry, agility, do you mean?
Yeah, agility athletics if you're going to just charge. Agility acrobatics if you're going to try to vault over the bits of trash and try to take a less direct route.
Could PU try and slink past it? Like using his stealth?
Oh yeah, sure. PU could make an agility stealth check if he wanted to.
I'd like to make an agility stealth as well. I've got neither of the other two.
And what'll Frank
do? Is there like a seat or like a control position on the back of the loader? Is it like sometimes autonomous, sometimes actually piloted?
Frank, go ahead and make me a presence perception roll.
Can you make the roll for me,
Sure,
please? I don't
I
actually.
will. You don't have your
And
sheet.
I
in hand.
have the skill, perception, survival, and athletics.
You do. So 11 plus 2 means 13. So Frank, you're a robot yourself. You were designed to be autonomous, but you have a thing built in that would have allowed your manufacturers to override you at any moment, assume manual control. And this robot is no different. There's no pilot seat or any control panel. Nothing visible anyway, but you do see a big black dome on the back of its neck that you instantly recognize as an IR receiver. All the controller would have to do is point the control stick at it and override, and they'd be in the Loaderbot system, ready to control its every move. This is also essentially what allows it to receive its programming and its updated orders, and even if you didn't have the control stick, smashing that dome would probably cause the Loaderbot to just stop operating for a few moments as it falls back on its default programming.
Do I have the ability to communicate in an IR signal?
I'd say it's something that you've probably not had to do before, but you could try.
Yeah, I'd like to see if I can just sort of temporarily maybe get control of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we gotta steal this thing.
Gotta steal it and take it with you. So while you go ahead and roll me a presence persuade check, I will ask PU and Azure to go ahead, and I'll roll for Charlie to roll agility stealth checks as they try to sneak past.
Because I'm proficient in stealth and I have the stealthy ability, I think it is.
Yep.
I would get a +2 to my roll and a -2 to my DR, would I not?
Yes. And they do stack.
Oh, yikes. I might have to use my glitch because that's a natural 1 I just rolled.
Oh, yeah. Would you like to use it to re-roll or to simply nullify the
I'm gonna
critical
re-roll.
fail?
Got 18.
Oh, much better.
Nice.
I got a 12 with my ability. Thank you.
So
that's
12? Charlie
12
rolls.
Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead. So Charlie's going to use a glitch, and oof. Alright, I'll get to what Charlie rolled in a moment. For now, as you sneak past, sticking to the shadows, you see Frank just boldly stride across the junkyard. The Loaderbot sees him coming. It stops in its tracks, raises its hammer arm and its grabber arm, and begins to charge towards him. And in that moment, Frank, you raise your hand and dig deep into your memory banks, trying to remember the programming. Don't roll yet. Oh yeah, you did roll. Yep, I rolled. I'll roll for that in a moment. I'll get to that. But for now, I want you to just say, what does Frank say as the robot stops in its tracks and you raise your hand, and that module in the back of your mind that hasn't been used since the days you were being tested and about to be press ganked into servitude finally connects, and the Loaderbot's voice echoes in your mind, awaiting orders.
And I pick up the nearest. It's like half a Buick, and I say, "Where am I supposed to put this?"
Now
Nice.
go ahead and roll your presence persuade check.
I rolled a 4 again.
Would you like to spend a glitch to re-roll?
No. I mean, let's face it. That's a 2 because I have -2.
Yeah. So you make contact with it, but
I'm just holding it. This piece of Buick saying, "Where
do I put this?
Where's this supposed to go?"
And the Loaderbot just stops for a moment, trying to pass what you're saying, and then it realizes that you're not meant to be here, because if you were working here, you would have already been pre-programmed. You'd know that Buick gets carted way down to the pile past the incinerator. Its red eye flickers and an alarm klaxon begins to go off as a metallic voice screams out, "Intruder alert!" and it begins to charge towards you.
Stop.
Frank, go ahead, roll an agility check for initiative.
Fuck's sakes, Frank.
Good question, Bill, if I may.
Oh, go ahead.
My stealthy says -2 DR on agility and presence test. Is that any presence test?
I would say it's for the purposes of stealth, like
Gotcha,
lying
okay.
your way into a place would be, but just like convincing someone to lower the price on an item wouldn't be. So Frank, you pass the agility check, which means the group goes first. What do you do, Frank, as this huge loader bot that's even larger than you begins to roar towards you, flailing its hammer arm through the air?
I'm going to lead the loader bot away from my friends.
Ooh, nice, nice. And that way they could get the drop on it if they wanted. So, go ahead, Frank. Make me either a strength or an agility roll, and you can add athletics if you got it, which you don't do. Which you don't, I believe.
No, I have athletics, I have perception,
you
and
do.
I have
Yeah.
survival. So
So do you have any preference where you'd like to lead it?
oh, I'm heading north. I'm gonna basically run it into a dead end because I have a feeling I can climb better than it can.
Yeah, most likely. Alright, go ahead, roll for me. 11, nice. So
I think that's
you-
a 15 total.
15. You immediately turn and charge back towards the loading bay, running as fast as you can, and sure enough, the loader bot roars on its tank treads, trying its best to catch up with you, and it is able to until you reach the dead end, and the mountain of trash looms above you. You prepare to climb, but first, we go to PU. Seeing Frank turn in the other direction and the loader bot scream after it and realizing that you're still hidden, is there anything you'd like to do?
If he looks between like the route ahead of him and he's watching Frank climb up the trash and
Fuck it.
P is going to ready both of his smart guns and he's going to hold down the triggers on them.
Alright. You are attacking from stealth, so add +2 to your attack roll, please.
Can do. And I will be auto-firing as well.
Yeah, so that's an agility roll, and I'd say your stealthy doesn't kick in, because you're not being stealthy.
No. Yeah,
Into
but
the eye output?
ooh, okay, so 18 is going to hit, I assume.
An 18 will hit. Go ahead, roll the damage for the first
Cool
attack.
thing. And I would like to be using dual wielder for this. Means
Ooh, yeah.
I wheel a weapon in each hand, and you may take a single attack test for both, and then combine the damage rolled.
Yeah.
So it's 5 points of damage that fire out both the guns as it
damage.
rips across.
The bullets slam into the metallic frame of the loader bot, and its armor absorbs 2 points, leaving 3 points of damage altogether. You blast off one of its little nodules on its shoulder, and its head just whirs around, bzzz, indicating whatever you've shot performed some vaguely important function. And I assume you'll go again.
Yep. Second attack. Probably not going to hit because that's like a 8 to hit. Wait, sorry. Do I still have stealth bonus?
No, not the stealth
6
bonus
to hit,
anymore.
excuse me.
6 to hit. The bullets ring out and ping, 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 like raindrops slam into the thick metal frame, not making any damage and just ricocheting straight off. Alright, Azure, you're up.
Great. How's it looking with those shots in it?
It's still charging after Frank. But perhaps a bit less in a straight line now and more sort of zigzagging all over the yard as it goes.
I might just try shooting it myself. I haven't tried shooting things before.
Add a +2 because you're in stealth.
Yeah, I'll pull out my dual SMGs, which are just by default dual SMGs. I don't have fancy dual wielding. How do I do this?
Alright, so you roll, if you're auto-firing, it'll be a presence roll. No, if you're auto-firing, it'll be an agility roll. If not, it's a presence roll. And you add
So
+2
agility,
because you're attacking from stealth.
+2 from stealth. Alright, let me bring it home. So +2 is +2 for agility, +2 for stealth is 11.
11, almost. Would you like to spend a glitch, or you just want to or just accept the miss?
Just accept the miss. I'd much rather use the glitches on my failed hacking.
Yeah, you're not used to fighting in meat space, and you unload a clip, and the bullets just spray into the mountain of garbage. You see a couple of insects scatter, little white crustaceans diving for cover as the bullets disturb their habitats. And then it's Charlie's turn. He points and lets out a whistle, and his dog goes charging towards the loader bot. Let me just check Grit's sheet here. Ah, yes. He opens his mouth, and his legs compress, and then he growls as he leaps onto its back, trying to sink his teeth into its metal facade. The teeth rip into the metal, wrenching the sheet off, exposing wiring underneath, before finally the loader box shakes its body and the dog tumbles away, and Rusty deals 3 points of damage, the armor absorbing 1 of them. Alright, it's the loader bot's turn, and it's still charging after Frank, and as Frank gets ready to scale the mountain towards him, the loader bot bears down upon you, flailing its hammer. Go ahead, Frank. Make me an agility roll to defend. Ooh, that's a 20, a nat 20, nice. So as its hammer comes down towards you, you swerve out of the way. The hammer slams into the ground, and the loader bot stumbles as the impact seems to knock it off its trajectory, and this moment is enough that with your nat 20, you're allowed to make a counterattack if you want to make one.
Can I knock the hammer out of its hinge with my cricket bat?
Yeah, you can try to do that. Go ahead. Roll me a strength check. Another nat 20!
Nice!
That'd be a 22.
I'm gonna make bad sports
22. So Frank rushes forwards, raises his cricket bat, and as the cricket bat comes down, sparks fly. The hammer arm snaps off the rest of the loader bot. Frank, go ahead and roll 1d6 for the damage, and we'll double it.
Four.
4. So the loader bot's armor absorbs all of the damage, unfortunately, but its hammer arm lies uselessly on the ground, meaning it can no longer use that as an attack.
Very nicely done.
Then, would you like to scramble up the mountain to get away from any more attacks it may level towards you?
I would like that very much.
Yeah, it won't be able to follow you up there. Go ahead, make me a strength acrobatics roll. Yeah, would you like to glitch that?
That's going to be about a 6 total. No, he's just going to have to wear the fact that he's not going to get away.
Follow me up here, Frank calls out as he begins to scramble up the side of the mountain. He reaches out, grabs the tow bar of an old truck to use as a handhold, and then clunk, snaps it off. And with nothing to hold onto, he tumbles back down, landing flat on his back in front of the loader bot, which immediately rolls towards him, gnashing its remaining grabber arm, using its long, sharp fingers as claws to gore at Frank's body. And that's going to be for Frank. Let me see. 5 points of damage as the long, sharp claws tear through his trench coat and his rubber flesh.
Well, that did not go well.
But that's okay. You might say Frank was bowled out. How's that? Comes from somewhere inside his coat. And we go to PU.
I
I think you're muted.
Ah, yes, Tristan might be muted. Because I can see him talking.
I just died.
There we go. We got you. We got PU back.
Decided to not register my microphone anymore for no reason.
Oh, it does that.
It does that sometimes.
Alright, you big ugly bastard. Let's fucking do this.
PU will step out into the middle of the lane to get a nice clear shot on the loader bot, and will continue to hold down the triggers.
Yeah, continuing to fire. Go ahead, roll me your attack roll, auto firing.
And I believe I get dual wielder once per attack, correct?
Once per attack, so you get to do it again on this first attack if you hit.
Agility, and then that's going to be an 18 to hit.
That's definitely going to hit. Go ahead, roll your damage, dual wielder and all.
Max damage of 12, thank you.
Oh, nice. The armor absorbs 1 as the loader bot, raising its grabber arm again, ready to deal with Frank once and for all, is not at all prepared for PU as he comes running out, screaming, aiming his guns at the exposed wiring revealed by Rusty, unloading the clip into the wiring. Sparks fly, the loader bot's body spasms and jerks, and then suddenly the klaxons stop and its torso slumps forwards, a big black plume of smoke rising from the many bullet holes that PU has created.
PU blows on the end of his guns, them filling with cigarette ash from his big lip as he puts in a new one.
So, any PU and Azure, go ahead to roll to see if you need to reload. 1d8 for you, Azure, 1d6 for you, PU. And Frank, you can recover d4 health.
It's a d6 if I was auto?
Oh yeah, oh no, d8. You auto-fired as well, didn't you?
Sorry, d6.
Yeah, it says d6.
Yeah, d6. Yeah, d6, sorry. And then, yeah.
Hey, I'm good.
Frank was the only one hurt, so he gets to recover d4.
I both my mags ran out of ammo, so I'm down 2 there.
4. So Frank's 2 hit points down, better than nothing.
I'd like to have a quick look
I
around
rolled
to see
a
if there's
3. So
any
you're
visible
2.
response to the noise.
Azure. Go ahead. Any visible response? You mean within the system, or just looking around, seeing if anyone...
Just looking around to start with.
Yeah, you peer around, and all you can see are yet more mountains of trash. You can hear many things. You can hear the grinding of machinery, the crumpling of metal, the crackling of flames, but you can't see anyone charging out of this cacophony towards you.
Best not spend forever here. His buddies might come along not too soon.
Hughes says while he's putting a mag into his mouth to load it into the back of his gun.
So where to?
Well, I believe our
Sorting
destination
floor's just
start
ahead.
with, we might want to check out the sorting floor, which is straight ahead and off to the right.
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, we might want to be a little bit, smart about it.
Hughes says, pointing to the big pile to try and climb over and grab a peek at it from behind cover.
Go ahead, PU. Make me a agility acrobatics check to scale the pile of trash.
Alrighty. A 14 agility.
14. So, you slowly pull yourself up onto the summit of this little pile of trash, crawling over scrap metal and old cars and unidentified goop that you're tempted to just run your finger through and take a sample of as you creep past. Building below, a big narrow structure made out of corrugated iron and plastic. You remember the sort of portables they'd have in primary school, where they didn't have an actual building to have classrooms, so they'd have the sort of trailer-esque buildings lined up all in a row. It kind of looks like that. The sorting floor is the only one that looks like it's any kind of permanent structure with a big grey stone foundation, a set of double metal doors, and a little staircase along the side leading to a single staff door. The lights are on. You can see light peeling out from underneath the door, indicating that it's open, but there are no signs of life, and doesn't look like there's any guards either, for that matter.
P looks down at the rest of the group. He's chewing something. You don't know where he's gotten it, but he gives a thumbs up to the rest of the group.
I'm assuming you found something in the piles.
No, you can't have any.
This is my trash.
It should be clear to go ahead.
With the information I found earlier, should they still be on shift?
Yeah, there should still be people working, but according to PU, there's no signs of anyone actually being in there. There's no silhouettes against the window or under the door. There's no sounds of machinery.
I don't like it. Something
Yeah,
feels wrong.
I'm all for one for saying, fuck your boss and not doing your job, but I don't like how this feels. Maybe we try and find the back entrance? There was an office, wasn't there?
According to the map, there's another larger structure attached to the sorting floor. The office, the warehouse, the admin area, and you could maybe find your way through there.
Yeah, going around the back this way.
Going
Are there
around
any
the
convenient
back. Yeah.
windows to kind of actually see inside the sorting floor?
So as you make your way around the base of the mountain where PU is, you can see the structure ahead of you, and there's a single window just above the double doors, like a window just under the roof, and the light is billowing forth. It's not something you can see through on ground level. You'd need to climb up and peer through. PU, you've got a slightly better angle. You can see through the window and see that the lights are on and that there's something metallic and silver piled up in the sorting floor beyond the window. But from this angle, you can't actually see the floor itself and can't see any sign of any workers.
Hey Frank, you reckon you could give me a boost so I can see through that window?
Well, I reckon I can.
Don't get yourself another eye put in your pretty little forehead there.
Azure trudges across the yard, Frank coming up behind her, and as you reach the big metal door, Frank, How do you lift Azure up? Does Frank even know what giving someone a boost means?
I was hoping he might like kneel down so I could use him as a step stool.
I'm afraid that's not what happens. No, Frank is going to see an empty 50-gallon drum or something of that ilk, or even an old shopping cart. It doesn't matter. Some kind of container, and he's going to very gently lift and place Azure inside the container, and then he's going to use the basket or the barrel or whatever it is that he's got. That's what he's going to grip and hold in.
Like a really friendly cherry picker.
Yeah, hoisted up to the window, and Azure feels like...
An annoying cherry picker that will sometimes go off and do what it thought was a good idea.
Yeah, see...
Yeah.
Frank holds you up against the window just long enough for you to get a look inside, and then he sort of like gets distracted by something else, and you feel the whole receptacle that you're in just sort of jolt forwards, and you're nearly tipped out the side until you hear Frank shout, "Oh, whoops!" and remember what he's doing and boost it back up again. But Azure, peering through the window, you see a most curious sight. The sorting floor looks like it's in the middle of the nightly work. There's a huge array of various items of rubbish strewn across several tables and conveyor belts, bits of scrap metal, parts of old cars, food wrappers, anything you could imagine. It looks as if it's in the process of being sorted, but the workers are mysteriously absent. Instead, lying on the floor just in front of where you'd imagine the supervisor would stand, a little elevated position with a control panel overseeing the rest of the room. There's a sandwich with a single bite taken out of it, just lying on the floor as if it were just dropped and discarded in a hurry.
Nothing else? Anything
Nothing else.
Looks dangerous?
Nothing overly dangerous. Go, Frank.
Can Frank put Azure down and go through the wall and fetch the sandwich for PU?
I didn't say anything about a sandwich. You haven't seen it.
Yeah. If Azure mentions it, sure.
I'm smarter than mentioning a sandwich in front of you.
Azure, though, I will ask you to go ahead and make me a presence investigate roll.
Okay.
You got this.
It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. Alright, my presence is -2. And I do not have investigate. So we got a 0.
0. So, I'll say that's what you see. You feel the receptacle beginning to tilt once again as Frank sees PU scrambling down the side of the trash mountain and turns to greet him.
Put me down carefully, please.
Oh, right. Sets down.
PU, as you make your way down the side of the trash mountain, I'll allow you to go ahead and make a presence investigate check, because there's something you might see that Azure might not, with the angle you're coming down.
In the meantime, I'll pass on that it appears empty, nothing in there. We might be right to just find our way in.
PU's more so focused on pulling whatever is stuck between his teeth right now, because he got a 6.
A 6. So, here's what happens, PU. You're making your way back down the side of the mountain, and you want to kind of do this thing where you gracefully slide down and roll off and land in front of Azure and Frank, in front of the staircase that leads up to the side entrance. As you do, and as you're fishing some identified thing out between your teeth, you see in the corner of your eye a single smear of blood along the bottom of the metal door. And you crane your neck to get a better look at it, and that's when your right foot slips on something squishy, something slippery in the trash pile, and the entire pile under your feet begins to collapse. Go ahead and make an agility test for me, and you can add acrobatics if you got it.
I don't, unfortunately. Oh, will a 10 help me out here?
A 10. You gasp and tense your feet trying to spring out of the way, but the trash seems to disintegrate in an instant underneath you, and what you were standing on...
Would a 14 help him?
From Frank? I'd say he's high up enough that Frank wouldn't have a chance to get to him.
I'm saying that if he got a 14...
if he got a 14, it would help, yes.
Alright, I'll burn a glitch.
Aw. We're gonna do that?
Nice. So, the trash pile begins to disintegrate and you quickly leap off it, landing on your feet on the ground in front of everyone else, only taking half the damage you would have taken from the whole thing sending you tumbling down. You take 3 points of damage, and you do not have to roll toughness to avoid a nano infection, as you would have sunk into the gooey trash underneath you and had to claw your way out. Instead, you've got a couple nicks and bruises from where the scrap metal scraped you on your way down, but you're not really that much worse off for wear.
Does that damage roll against my armor?
It is rolling against your armor, yes, so you may soak it if you like.
Oh, I only got 1 off that, so 2 points
of damage. Do you want your spice to kick in and reduce it to 1, or are you
Nah, we'll take the 2. There's gonna be some massive fuck off like Corpo smart gun with a d20 of damage waiting for us around the corner, so I'll hang on to it.
So PU, now that you're on the ground and standing in front of the little iron staircase that leads up to the staff entrance, you can indeed see a smear of blood pooled underneath the door, seeming to leak out from inside, and there's a single discarded bullet casing lying in front of the door.
He looks down at the bullet casing, he turns back to the rest of the group and grimaces with his disgusting yellow teeth.
Everyone, the coast is completely clear.
Yeah, from that window, from that vantage point, it looked like it. To be fair, there is no one inside that you could see.
He grimaces, showing off those nasty brown teeth of his, and puts his finger up to his lip to show for silence from the group. And he'll tiptoe forward to check out the door and slowly crack it, see if he can get a better angle.
Lay your hand on the doorknob and go to pull, and thunk, thunk. Somebody's locked the door from the inside. There's no window or anything, there's just a little plastic placard that reads in faded lettering, staff only.
Is there a lock anywhere?
Sure is. You could easily unlock it if you want to go ahead. Meanwhile, Frank, if you want to roll a strength check for me, you can just break those double doors down.
You might wait for a moment.
He's
get
that.
That's a 19.
Sorry, yeah, we might wait for a moment.
We'll get to Frank in a moment if PU fails.
It would be a 14 with my agility. And don't forget, I do have stealthy.
Yes.
So I'm going to use 2 to my DRs.
Try to lay a suppressing hand on Frank.
Frank flexes his arms as Azure just holds out a hand. Wait.
There does not need to, I need to emphasize this. There does not need to be a second one. You just put your hand on him and he stops on a dime. Any one of these guys can, all they have to do is just signal, and if the signal reaches the brain, there is instant.
So Frank was about to burst.
Sometimes he doesn't understand the signal. Yeah. That is the problem.
But he got it.
He saw this and thought up.
Fair enough.
PU's voice carries from around the corner. Hey, guys, it's open! And you round the corner to see PU deftly stepping through the door, and I assume you follow him in.
I don't know that Frank can get up there.
Yeah, Frank. Here's the thing, Frank. You're what, 6-7 feet tall?
And about a ton.
And you weigh about a ton, and your body is about double the width of this door. So, as the others pile in, you shrug, make your way back down to the front, grip the metal doors, and the loud sound of warping metal rings out as Frank lets himself in, wrenching that loading door open and stepping into the sorting floor.
You know how you have those garage rolling doors?
Yeah.
I think this is one of those like rolling doors, and he hasn't realized or doesn't care, and he's just peeled it.
He's just sort of peeled it up like an orange peel. And this does actually end up being in your favor, because as Azure, PU, and Charlie slip in through the door, over at the loading bay, someone has taken the time to set up a turret, a makeshift turret that's sort of balanced on top of a haphazard pile of junk, just sitting there on the other side of the door. And as you see it and it sees you, and the barrel begins to whir as it gets ready to unleash its payload, Frank just peels the door up, steps through and bowls the turret over, knocking it off the pile of trash. It falls onto the floor and unloads its barrel into the roof instead.
He's like diving to the ground to avoid the bullets that are ricocheting around the room.
Oh shit! Oh, well done, Frank.
Click, 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 click. The turret's out of ammo, continuing to revolve as it lays on its side.
Pick it up, turn it off.
And by turn it off, I assume for Frank that means just like grabbing a part of it that sticks out and wrenching it off.
No, look for the switch, turns it off.
Looks for the switch, yep. Sees a little button at the back, places his palm on the button and the barrel stops whirring, slowly stopping. So, now that you're in the sorting floor, I'm going to roll a d4 to randomly select one of you. And it's you, Azure.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Azure. Tell me what your current obsession is in life.
My current obsession.
I know why he rolled that dice.
Gotta be something to do with hacking and trying to accumulate a lot of money and power.
So there's this famous hacker. Used to run in some of the circles that you're now part of about 20 years ago. Went by the handle of Ghost. And Ghost was one of the very greatest hackers in all of Psy's history. There's a legend about Ghost, and that legend is that Ghost was able to exert their will upon cyberspace to such effect that they effectively became one with it, that they ascended from this mortal plane and in essence became the cyber itself. And the first thing you see as you fan out and begin to examine what's on display in the sorting floor is a collectible figurine of Ghost herself, appearing in her favoured guise of a 14-year-old girl with vibrant pink hair and a cyber deck cobbled together from pieces of what look like trash and household appliances jury-rigged together. This collectible figurine is something you've always wanted to possess.
Why do you think I have pink hair?
In your life, Azure. And once you've laid your eyes on it, you can think of nothing else. You immediately rush forward, snatch it, snatch it off the table from the pile of trash where it's laid out. And now that you've got it in your hands, all tests you make for the rest of the session are going to be done at +2 DR as you marvel at your new prize.
I like the sound of a plus, even though it's plus to DR.
Unless those checks have to do with hacking, because you have Ghost, and if those checks are to do with hacking, you make them at -2 DR instead.
Very nice. Very nice.
I like hacking.
A quick search of the room, however, reveals that, well, you're not sure, you're assuming the thing you're looking for looks like a gallbladder. And none of you are really certain what a gallbladder looks like exactly, but you're imagining like a fleshy, small thing about the size of your fist, maybe smaller. And after about 20 minutes of rummaging through all the trash on offer here, you cannot find it.
Might we contact, because we have a contact for Colin, might we contact him and see if he's got an image of it or anything, or any description that he might give us?
Sure enough, seconds later, your RCD blinks and the blueprint for the device pops up, revealing it to be roughly spherical shaped with several little tubes rising off its surface. It looks more like what you'd imagine an artificial heart to look like than a gallbladder, to be honest. But now that you know what you're looking for, you can definitely tell it's not here.
Yeah, shit. He says, looking at the pool of blood that's over by the metal door over there.
Well,
yeah.
They don't seem to be in here at the very least. We've been here for a while and they didn't come and inspect the gunshots, so should be alright to keep going, but keep your heads down.
There's someone here, probably, but it's not who's supposed to be here.
Yeah. Keep your head down. They don't want to get it blown off.
I will say, Azure, it's quite obvious to you as you peer across the room that there's a little computer terminal over near the door right behind Frank, and it's still turned on, and there's a feed running across the screen. It looks like each object as it's processed and logged, it's added into the terminal, and it's this terminal itself that seems to be doing the bulk of the work, deciding where the various articles are meant to go.
I want to go and have a look at that. But before I do, remembering last time, might want to have a quick look around to see if there's anything wired to this terminal that might explode
Sure
on me.
thing. So go ahead, make me a knowledge investigate check. Or a knowledge technology, you can do either.
We'll go knowledge technology. That is a little better for me. A +4.
There are several suspicious wires poking out the back of the terminal, but you don't have to worry about them because you see Charlie over your shoulder wave his arm, and Rusty comes bounding forwards. Pant, pant, he says as he opens his mouth and the little multi-tool extends and snips the wires off the back of the terminal, nullifying the intrusion countermeasures.
You saved me again.
Thank you.
I give him a little pat on the head.
Frank is gonna walk up to Azure and says, I reckon I got something for you here. Something that you can set up when you gotta be doing hacking, and it can shoot the fuck out of people who try and sneak up on you.
A little auto turret?
And hand Azure the other turret and notices that it's big and heavy and says, well, I'll carry it for you right now if you like, or you can have it now.
Wonderful, thank you. I don't think I can carry that. So
Well, I'll just have it.
So I assume it's safe now to
Yeah, sure is.
poke around.
So this terminal is odd. Just by looking at it, you can tell it's quite old, a decade or more. The software on the screen in front of you is unfamiliar. It's very out of date, and there isn't a plug that looks like it'll accept your cyber deck. You're wondering what to do when Frank steps forwards. And Frank, why don't you reveal what you have for Azure, what you spent some of your proceeds from last job on?
Well, maybe. You know, I find sometimes when you check your tool bag or your equipment, sometimes you find that maybe you had stuff you forgot you packed in there.
Frank gives you a knowing glance as you reach for your pack, open it, unsure of what exactly he could be referring to, and there at the bottom of your bag find a bundle of cables, each for a type of connector you've never seen before in your life.
Oh wow, this is super cool.
And a brand new cabling gun, don't forget that.
And a brand new cabling gun. And with this on hand, you'll be able to access terminals that aren't exactly up to date.
Excellent. I might
Just like
find
USB
the one.
A.
Yeah. all the way back to USB E.
You reach around and pull one out that someone in the early 21st century would have been able to tell you is called Firewire. Attach one end to the expansion port of your cyber deck, slide the other into the terminal, and jack in.
Now.
Go ahead and make me a knowledge technology roll to see if you can pass this information that suddenly comes rushing at you. Information in such volume and such intensity in formats you've never encountered before that instantly you feel each of your senses beginning to short out from the sheer sensory overload.
So I'm remembering after last session I picked up I'm in as a feat, which gives me advantage on hacks when not under pressure. Does this count?
This will count. You're not under any time pressure, and the DR will be reduced from 14 to 12 because you have the ghost figurine pride of place right there in your free hand.
Well then, +4 on advantage. Let's see what I do. 16.
16, nice.
Very nice.
4 above the DR. So, you pause, relax for a moment. In meat space, only a second passes, but in the cyber world, it seems to take an endless eternity for you to make sense of this information. All these unfamiliar glyphs, icons that someone born 80 years ago would identify as things like floppy disks and landline telephones, references to something known as social media swirling all around you.
Look, it's one of those old 3D printed save files.
You finally manage to pass all the information, and you realize that this recycling concern must have been here a very long time, because there's manifests in here dating back 40, 50 years ago showing all manner of treasures from across the city's history have ended up in this room, passed through the recycling process, and are out there in the junkyard. And finally, at the very bottom, you find what you're looking for. It's logged as weird body part thing, and it's been placed over in the recycling building down south. Whoever tagged it evidently recognize it indeed. It's some kind of cyberware, so they've sent it to possibly be repurposed, refurbished, and resold.
I found our organ.
Oh, good.
It's not in this building.
Of course.
We gotta head to the fire.
Never is.
Never simple.
Well, I think we might want to, seeing as no one's here yet, this spot might be clear and they might have some extra creds in the office. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go check it out.
Don't be too long.
As you go to jack out, Azure, I would like you to quickly go ahead and make a knowledge check for me.
Can do. Not very good. That'll be a 5. If it's just a straight knowledge.
As you're about to rip the cord out, suddenly the 3D printed save icons are swept away, scattering like the Red Sea before Moses. A thin, tall man wearing a rubber minotaur helmet steps out of the reams of information. He smiles as he says, "Found you there!" And he activates his Blood Snoot app. And as you wrench the cord out of the terminal, blood begins to flow from your nose and your eyes as your head begins to pound in agony, and you take 4 points of damage.
Oh. Do I successfully eject?
You do deject, and you avoid taking any more damage, but it's clear to you that someone was in the system and they saw you, and they know you're here.
Yeah, we're not alone. I tend to face the others with blood pouring from my nose, blood pouring from under my mask.
You got something over here.
Yeah, I do, thanks.
I'd
ask you for a tissue, but I don't think I want to.
What the fuck's a tissue?
Never see one of them.
I'll just wipe it on my sleeve.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Where to now? Says Charlie.
I'm gonna check out the office.
Down to the recycling building to the south.
I'm gonna check the rooms next door, and then we can keep going. Might find some good info there.
Yeah. PU steps through the doorway and makes his way down a narrow, unfurnished corridor towards the office building. And as you approach the office building, PU, you hear muffled voices from the other side.
Shit, he says. He's gonna take his smart gun out of its holster, or from out under his jacket, and he's gonna use the barrel of it to open the door, sweeping the room slowly.
The office is unlit. The lights have been turned off. The only illumination coming from the screens of a couple of computer terminals that are still turned on. And there, huddled up against the back wall, are the workers who are supposed to be in the recycling room, and a couple of people wearing suits indicating that they're admin types. They're all tied up, gags in their mouths, and their eyes widen as they see you step in. Says a man in a suit, jerking back and forth.
You fucking Sooty. Well, nothing of importance, it looks like.
Pew will go and dip a finger into pockets, check them for anything useful through the suities, and then he'll quickly check out the warehouse and the utility room and the washroom, seeing if he can find maybe the perpetrators potentially, or any good loot of these middle management folks.
So Frank, you're probably able to hear now that the door to the office is open. Frank, Charlie, and Azure, you could probably hear the muffled sounds from the office.
I go look.
Yep, go ahead, Frank.
I go looking for the source of the muffled, struggling sound.
Yeah, and you step. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say P would have used his incinerate lighter in his thumb to light his way to make it maybe a little bit easier to search.
So, Frank, you make your way down the corridor, step out into the office, and see PU. One of his fingers popped open with a flame illuminating the room, patting down the pockets of who are most obviously the employees of this facility, who are tied up and gagged and herded into the corner of the room, reaching into their pockets, extracting their ID cards, chocolate bars, and PU, go ahead and roll for me a D6.
Happy to. 3.
3. I'm going to roll a D6 of my own. So PU, you find something of interest. You weren't intending to. Most of anything of value has already been taken from these people. There's no cred chips, their wallets are empty. You managed to extract a half-eaten chocolate bar and some pocket lint, but on the suited guy, the guy you check last, you extract a VIP card to an exclusive ports club called Sphinx Lounge.
Ooh, look at you, Mr. Silk Tie.
He says, shaking his hand in obvious protest as you take it, and you notice down in the little corner of the card, it says that the membership fee paid each month, non-refundable, is 200 creds.
Oh, well, look what your little weekly wage got you, huh? Aren't you fancy schmancy? In wages, can't stand them.
PU will stand up and pocket the exclusive club card.
Oh, hey Frank, don't worry about it. I'm just handling these folks.
Frank just shrugs, and it's clear by the look on his face that he doesn't realize he's just witnessed a shakedown.
Yeah, these guys are here for their own safety. They'll probably just get in the corpo's ways. You know, it's better that they stay like this.
We not free them, says Charlie, who stepped into the room while you've been busy patting them down.
Probably safer if we don't for now. We can free them on the way back, maybe if they pay.
Hey, you said somebody was in the system, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe these people know what we're up against.
Good point, Charlie.
He says, looking at Charlie, and then aims the gun directly at the suited man's head. Turns slowly to look at him and bends down real close.
You'll talk nice and quick, won't you?
His eyes
help pull down the mask or the gag so that he can speak to us.
So, PU, go ahead and make for me a presence intimidate check.
Can do. That's a 10.
10. So as you raise the gun pointed at his head and his eyes go wide, as Zhua reaches down, pulls out the gag, and immediately the man just opens his mouth and begins to weep. No! Please! And you smell something... You smell something harsh, vaguely metallic, and oddly sweet, PU, as liquid begins to pool around the man's legs.
Come on, man. There's a bathroom right over there. You couldn't have taken... Oh, wait. No, I guess you couldn't have. Well, anyways.
We gave you what...
Complaining about such a thing.
We gave you what you want, please, let us go. We've got families, we got wives and children, and...
You fucking corpos aren't people. You don't have families.
Of course we do, says the man, shaking his head. It's you. You runners, you mercenaries who aren't people, you're monsters, you guns down, Gustav in the other room. You didn't even think twice before you put a bullet in his head.
You want to see me be a monster? I'll be a monster, but if you want to keep things civil and we can have a conversation, you just let me ask some questions, and then maybe you kids don't have to go to a funeral.
Ooh. PU, go ahead, make me another presence intimidate check, but the DR will be harder on this one, because you already failed to direct the previous one in a way that didn't just make him begin to become a blubbering wreck.
12 total. Unless I'm able to use any of my my stealth with thievery bonuses to that.
No. 12 total. So as you impart your words, you notice his eyes drifting and settling on Frank's hulking figure behind you. In this dim light, Frank looks like the T-800 from the Terminator. His face skeletal, mean, his eyes glimmering red in the darkness, and Frank, it looks like he might be reaching out to you if you'd like to either seal PU's deal intimidating him or try a different tack. So Frank just sort of flexes his arms, steps up and says, "Well now, funerals are sad for everyone involved, isn't that right?"
Actually, no.
Go ahead.
These guys, what do they do for a living? They pick things up, and then they carry them, and then they put them down.
Something that Frank's very good at.
Frank is going to walk over to the door and say, "Well, if you've given us everything we need, well, thank you. You best be getting back home then."
Go ahead, Frank, and make me a strength check, and you may add... Let's say you can add persuasion to it if you have it, which I don't think you do.
I do not in any way, shape, or form have any useful skills. That would be totally
useful skills.
very good.
It's not useful social skills.
That is a 6.
Plus your strength means it's higher than 8.
So it's a 9, yeah.
Yeah, 9, definitely enough. It's not hard for you. The display of strength, Frank probably intended for it to have a calming effect. Instead, all it does is you see the eyes of the terrified employees grow wider, even more terrified and wild as they see this hulking wall of synthetic muscle and metal just move something that weighs more than them with no effort whatsoever. And the man exchanges a glance with the others near him, and a woman with dirty blonde hair nods, and then the man looks up at PU and says, okay, please, we'll do anything. We just want to be let go, please. What do you need?
I'm letting you go. I'm just moving this stuff out of the way so you can go.
The man screams, please, no. We don't want our legs broken.
Let me get those chains and manacle things off of you.
One second, Frank.
Don't do that just yet.
1 second. Before my friend here, grabs at your legs and arms with those awfully large hands. I mean, have you seen them?
He says, looking at Azor.
They are terrifyingly huge.
I know. Anyways, before my buddy over here comes and helps you out, why don't you tell me exactly what happened here, and who's around here right now?
Right, says the man. We just started our shift, and these people broke in. They said they were looking for something. They had us get them into the system, find what they were looking for because it had already been processed, and they gunned down the supervisor, and we told them it was over in recycling, a piece of cyberware, and they went off. They went off to look for it. They tied us up and told us to stay here and be quiet and not make a sound, and eventually someone would come for us. They look at he exchanges glances with the other employees. About half an hour ago, they're probably still there. There's 4 of them. Guy in a minotaur mask, and two women, and one of the women's decked out with cyberware. She doesn't have any arms. It was all chrome, and some other guy looks like he dresses for a corporation, but dripping with piercings. And
I need brands. I need symbols. I need identification. Are we talking Miltech here? Are we talking? Like, what are we looking at here?
Marking under the guy's mirror, and under the guy's ear, on his mirror shades, and on his suit, and he rattles off a number of what are very obvious to you to be gang tattoos and insignias, not branding for a corp. But I will ask anyone in the room who'd like to identify them to make a knowledge thievery check.
Good at those. I get a +2 to that.
The scorpions.
Oh, well, I'm only going to get a +1 because I have a -1 to knowledge, but... Ooh, 15 total.
So he doesn't describe any scorpions or any arachnids, but... In fact, as you rack your brains and focus on that image of a minotaur head, one guy's wearing it as a helmet, one of the women has it a tattoo on her right cheek. The guy dressed as a corpo has a minotaur head engraved on the rim of his mirror shades. Something clicks. This is the competition. See, when you started working as a mercenary, PU, you tried to get in touch with a crew. You put your name out there, put it out on the street what you were good at, and there was a crew that was interested in your skills. The Minotaurs, led by a guy named Cord, a hacker, ostensibly.
Cord?
And this, when PU says the name out loud, Cord, you know who you're dealing with too.
As spelled with a 0?
C0RD, Cord. He's a psychopath who'd like it most to kill you. He learned how to hack so he could turn off people's pacemakers. He's tried to get into a couple of the hacker collectives that you're familiar with, but as soon as they hear his name, they send him packing. The guy's bad news. He's insane, and nobody wants anything to deal with him. It wants anything to do with him. He can hack, in the technical sense of the word, but when he hacks, it's to inflict harm, to shut down people's bodies, to give them terrible pain. And PU...
This is why I'm bleeding.
Yeah, this is why you're bleeding as you rub the dreg of blood off your face. And PU, when Cord invited you to the group and realized who you were, he realized there was a bounty on your head. Needless to say, you decided not to work with that crew after all.
Shit. Fucking Minotaurs. Scumbags, a lot of them. And not in the good way, scum. Shit. Alright. We're gonna have to be smart about this because those fucks are something else. Thank you very much. Whatever your name is, I'm sure your kids will remember it. We leaving them?
Leave them for now. We can come back if they're good.
All right. Do you want to give them a chance to get away?
I'd rather not let them call heat down on us right now.
Fair enough. I could, set it up so it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
You will pull a strip of magnesium from his pocket. He'll light it and he'll drop it out at the feet of the corpo.
You've got about, I'd say, 2 minutes until that gets cool. You might be able to work your bonds loose using the heat off that. It'll hurt, but it'll work.
Frank steps forwards and says, I could just help you out of the chains, but the man shakes his head. No, please. And then he nods and he says, we will, as soon as I can get out, I swear, you won't even know I was here.
We better not. We know your face. And,
does he have, like, a wallet on him or anything? Like something like that?
He has a wallet, but it's been completely emptied. The only thing left was the VIP card for the Sphinx Club.
Does he have a picture of his kids or anything in there?
Sure does, actually. He's got a picture of what you recognize as clearly him, and he's standing in front of a barbecue. There are 3 kids, and they look sickeningly saccharine, gathered around, eagerly salivating at the burgers like rabid dogs.
He holds the picture. He pulls it out of the wallet, and he holds it up in front of the guy, and he says,
we know your face, and we know your kids.
And he says, and he brings the photo a little bit closer to the burning flame on his thumb, just to singe the edges of it, before stashing the photo in his pocket.
The man's face goes white, and there's a couple of employees on either side of him, and they're sort of struggling, their eyes wild, trying to move towards the burning strip of magnesium, and as soon as you slide the picture into your pocket, he shakes his head, and he says, No! We'll do what you say. I promise.
And forget us.
Sure. Never seen you. Right? The woman to his left with the dirty blonde hair nods, and the other guy just sort of sighs, hangs his head and shuffles back towards the door. Shuffles back towards the wall where he was a second ago.
Alright, have fun.
I just put a really basic smiley face emote on my RCD and just look towards him, cock my head slightly. Turn away.
Was there anything in the warehouse or the utility room?
Well, you haven't had a chance to open them yet, but you see 2 doors on the other side of the office. Both very thick metal doors, and as you approach them, it's very clear that both are electronically locked. There's a big sign with red lettering reading, Authorized Personnel Only.
Help me out with this, Azure.
He says while he pulls out his electronic lockpick.
Go ahead, P, you and roll for me. Azure creeps over.
I can.
Azure creeps over and points at the gap in the door where the electronic mechanism would be. Points out where you have to swipe the card, and that's enough for you, P. You pull out your electronic lockpick, slide the panel off, and get to work. Go ahead and roll it for me.
I rolled a 11 total with... a 13 total with my thievery skill. I am using B&E, and I am using stealthy.
Yes, you are. There's a click, and you feel the door loosen under the weight of your body. You look over at your shoulder at Azure and wink, and then stand up and slide the door to the warehouse open. You stride through the door and find yourself stepping into a cramped room that the entire area of which is taken up almost entirely by flimsy-looking metal shelves, so overcrowded, so stacked with so much junk that they're sagging. The bottoms of them are nearly level with the floor, and the stuff is piled on the top so high that it's grazing the ceiling. You immediately identify several things that might be valuable, and then suddenly you hear a whir as a panel in the roof slides open, and a single turret,
of course,
dislodges itself and takes aim. Go ahead, PU. Roll me initiative. Roll me an agility check.
Alright, so D20 initiative, yeah?
D20. Yep, D20. Or you can make an agility check. It's up to you.
Ooh, okay. I rolled a 19 on the D20.
19. Okay, that means the party goes first. So PU, you see the sleek barrel extend from the hole and the red LED light blink as it registers you as an intruder. What do you do?
PU will flash a look to the bunch of people tied up behind him. Fuck! And he's gonna jump forward and pull both triggers at the at the turret, as he's like trying to slide forward behind some of the shit that's in the warehouse.
Using the shelving as cover, go ahead, roll me your attack.
Alright, dual wielder attack with auto fire. Let's see how this goes. 12 total.
12 total, that hits. Go ahead, roll the damage.
Alrighty. Me 8 points of damage.
8 points of damage, nice. Your bullets riddle the little barrel, and it looks for a moment as if you're sending so much force into this little joint that holds it just above the floor, that it looks like it's about to snap off. The little bar, the little pole that it's attached to begins to sag and bend, but it remains intact, and its armor absorbs 3 points of damage.
Alright, can I go and make my second attack with that?
Yeah, if you're auto-firing, go ahead.
It's gonna be 16 total.
16 total, that's a hit. Roll the damage.
4 damage?
4 damage. This time you're not so lucky. The bullets pelt the barrel of the turret as it begins to load its first barrage of rounds, and its armor absorbs all of the damage. But
Shit.
That's still a hit, so you get another attack.
Alrighty. 13 total.
13 total, that's a hit. Roll the damage.
6 damage.
6 damage, and the armor absorbs 4 points of damage.
Oh, God.
Meaning 5 points of damage inflicted by you altogether. The pole that descends down from the hole in the roof is bent and jagged, but still holds the heavy-looking minigun up, and now the gun is preparing to fire. Frank, you're up.
To be clear, you jumped into the room because he didn't actually want the people to get shot.
Jumped into the room and took shelter behind one of the shelves just as the first bullets begin to ring out and the shelves shudder and rattle from the gunfire. Adam's muted, so we'll go with Azure first.
I was thinking I might try Trolley Skipper on it, see if I can get it to deprioritize you.
Well, I don't want to. Oh, it wouldn't.
And
it
so
wouldn't
as long as no one else is in the room, it should be fine.
Yeah,
this is in the warehouse itself, right?
Yeah, disable it entirely. Prioritize other targets. Alright, go ahead, make me a knowledge technology check.
Alright. Score on this, that's a 23.
23, nice. You slide the cartridge into the slot, load the script, and slam your finger down on the enter button. You hear machinery words as the barrel begins wildly sweeping from left to right, searching for a new target, no longer caring about PU whatsoever. And then it's Frank's turn, and Frank, not understanding the subtlety of how trolley skip works, raises his cricket bat, I assume. Go ahead, Adam, unless you've got another idea.
I was going with the bat.
Yeah, I was going to say that he probably doesn't understand how trolley skip works, so he just charges in, raises the bat, and tries to scrape the thing off the roof. So go ahead and make me a strength check. Ooh.
It's a 10.
A 10 plus your strength. That is a hit. Go ahead. Roll the damage.
No,
a 10 altogether.
Yeah.
Would you like to spend a glitch to re-roll?
Will I hit? I mean, will I hit if I don't?
No, because it'd be DR12.
Oh, alright. Well, well.
May as well spend the glitches, because you get them back at the end of every session, so...
Alright. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I have glitches in case one of my buddies needs help.
Ooh, worse than before. Glitch again, or take it as it lies?
I only have 2 glitches.
2, yeah. So Charlie will give you one of his glitches to roll again.
Okay.
Ooh, nat 20, nice. So
That's your third one tonight.
Frank raises the cricket bat, and as he charges into the warehouse, sort of scraping the edge of the bat across the ceiling, once again, from the recesses of his coat, a voice calls out, "How's that?" And an audience roars, clapping, as Frank's bat strikes the gun turret. Go ahead, Frank, roll 1d6 and double it.
Can we please use the other mechanism of one dice is max and the other one
that we
is
do
just
from
like
D&D? Yeah, sure. Alright, so 6 plus another d6. We'll use the Perkins D&D crit rules.
Oh, thank goodness, because that's an 8.
An 8, nice. So
Nice.
the armor absorbs 3 points of that, 5 points of damage altogether, and as the cricket bat strikes the turret, it's knocked askew, pointing no longer directly at Frank and PU, but instead like having a clear line of fire against the open space between the warehouse and the adjoining utility room. And then it's the turret's turn, and it's been told to not prioritize anyone in the warehouse, so it swivels on the...
Specifies a single person.
Yeah, so it's been told not to prioritize PU. And so I'm going to roll a dice to determine if it's going to aim for Frank, who's in the warehouse, or if it's going to aim for Azure, who's standing in the doorway hacking it. The pole shudders as the gun barrel swivels on the spot slower than before, damaged now. The barrel begins to turn as it unloads its barrage in the direction of Azure. Go ahead, Azure. Roll me an agility to dodge.
Alright. Got a +2 on this. That's 9.
9. Oof.
9. It's not great.
The minigun begins to fire. Tap, 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 tap. The bullets hit the ground in front of you, lighting a trail of sparks towards your feet and then up towards your body. You throw yourself behind the doorway to take cover just in the nick of time, and you take... Let me just flip to the correct page in the book. You take 5 points of damage, and may roll your armor.
We have rough armor now, so it's D4.
D4.
Is it?
Yep, D4. Good luck.
That's a 2.
2, so 3 points of damage. Not bad at all. And then it's auto-firing, so it now turns its attention to Frank, who's readying his bat to charge against it again. So Frank, make me an agility check, please. Let's see if the Owlbear Rodeo dice smiles on you. It's been very... Yeah, 15, more than enough. So, Frank, as the gun begins to unload, you just charge forwards, knocking down one of the shelves and ducking behind your newly made makeshift cover. The bullets slam into the junk, sending unlabeled cans and bits of stationery all over the floor, but you are safe. And then, PU, you're up.
He's gonna keep firing on this thing, trying to take it down before it hurts any of his friends anymore.
Yeah, go ahead. And I'll say you get a +1 on your attack roll because Frank's crit sort of knocked it out of the receptacle. It's no longer has the cover of the ceiling around it. Now it's just sort of leaning out in an angle that it was clearly not meant to.
With my auto-fire attack, and with that +1 you give me, that's a 22 total to hit.
22 total to hit. Go ahead, roll your damage.
Using dual wielder, I'm looking at 10 damage.
10 damage, nice. The armor absorbs 4 of that, leaving you with 6 points of damage, but you're auto-firing, so go ahead.
Next one's a 19. 20 with the +1 I have.
Yeah, 20. Go ahead, roll the damage.
5 more damage.
5 more damage. The armor absorbs 1 point as PU just slides out Max Payne style from behind the shelf, the guns rattling. Bang, 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 bang! Sparks fly off the surface of the turret, and then finally it explodes, the barrel dropping off the pole and clattering onto the floor, destroyed.
It was less his physical prowess and more his greasiness that allowed him to slide across the floor. So go ahead, PU, and roll me a d6, because you auto-fired. Bro, my ammo fucking hates me. Another 2 mags gone.
Slide another one in. Click. And Frank and Azure roll a d4 to recover hit points.
Do I get a d4 as well?
Only if you were hurt.
Oh, only if I was hurt during the combat.
You were hurt outside of combat, yeah.
D4.
Why does Frank get another roll?
Actually, yeah, no, because you weren't hurt, so you don't get one. Sorry, I forgot you dodged the attack. So only Azure does.
If I could, though, he will find the ammo in the turret, because that means that we've got ammo for Azure's turret.
Yes, exactly. And so you slide the little lever along the side, and the ammo belt drops out of the minigun, and you look over at the one you're putting together for Azure, and, well, Frank doesn't know anything about munitions or calibers, but it looks like the ammo belt feeds into a slot in the back. So you slide it in, pull the catch down, and hear a click, and it looks like it's good to go. When it's actually fired, I will be rolling to see what happens, though.
Yikes.
Because I don't think Frank would know how to load the turret in perhaps the most safe way. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam.
I can't see any possible way where he would know anything about it.
So I will make a note of that for if it gets fired in a future session. But now that the turret's down and you can hear the employees back in the office once again moaning as the chaos of the short gun battle subsides, you can look around the warehouse. On the map, it's listed as a warehouse and a utility room, but the utility room, in quotation marks, is nothing more than a section of the warehouse that's been fenced off, walled away from the rest. There's a single generator behind the chain link fence humming away, and a control panel to administrate the facility's power. The rest of the room is most certainly the warehouse, and there is a lot of junk here. It's very obvious that these are the things that were deemed too valuable to be consigned to the junkyard and were stored here for later use. So, PU and Azure, go ahead and roll me some either presence or knowledge investigate checks. Or PU, you may use thievery instead if you're looking with an eye to see what would fetch money on the black market.
Very much.
I'll just go with a knowledge.
Frank is going to go walk over and turn off the generator.
Yeah, good idea. And Frank,
Amazing.
by turn off the generator, am I wrong in assuming that means you're just going to smash it with the cricket bat?
He was actually going to just turn it off and maybe pull out some cables.
Yeah, sure. So you grab the handle. The handle's very rusty. It hasn't been moved in a long time, but with Frank's strength, it's no problem at all to just grab it, pull it down, and then you reach out, rip some of the cables out of the back of the generator, and instantly the whole thing dies. And the few lights that were on in the warehouse flicker and die, and outside in the office you hear the employees once again gasping, murmuring in fright.
You got a 9 total, by the way.
9 total, and how did you do, Azure?
11.
11. So, you're disappointed at first, Azure PU. There's a lot in this warehouse, but none of it's valuable. Old cans, bits of scrap metal, springs, engine columns. Sure, it's probably valuable to the right people, but to just hawk this stuff on the black market, the effort that would be required to get it out of here would be way too much, and that's when PU turns and dejectedly steps out of the warehouse, muttering under his breath about what a waste of time it was. Azure notices that the warehouse, the items on display piled haphazardly on the shelves, are not what's actually being stored here. They're a decoy. You move up to one of the shelves, Azure, call PU and Frank over, and then grab the shelf and slide it away, revealing a metal trapdoor set into the floor. Its outline only barely visible in the thick layer of dust that coats the concrete floor underneath you.
Well, what do we have here?
Secrets.
You reach over to open the door, PU, but the handle has long since sort of melted into the door itself, and you go and pull and don't feel it budge one bit.
Hey,
Frank, if we may, I got a new crowbar. Please don't break it this time, but use it to open the door.
He hands Frank the crowbar.
What does Frank do with the crowbar this time?
Well, he doesn't want to accidentally break the crowbar, so he's just going to open the door.
Yeah, he just
Out the crowbar.
just steps past PU, and with what you rolled on your strength just then, you
14.
lean 14. It's easy enough for Frank to just kneel down, grip the sides of the trapdoor with his hands, and it almost looks less like Frank is opening the door and more as if he's detaching it from the floor itself. You see the corners of the door bend and begin to buckle, and then pop! The lid is lifted off, and Frank tosses it aside, revealing a little narrow shaft with a single ladder that descends into the darkness.
He's gonna look at PU. I'm real sorry about that crowbar. I mean, would you like this door? It's only been used a little.
Don't sweat it. Yeah, we can probably fix that tax. Another time. We gotta focus. We got a trapdoor.
Who's the first down?
Pew's gonna slide down fireman style on the ladder.
So P, as you slide down, go ahead and tell me what your presence is.
+1.
+1. Go ahead and roll your presence and add +2 if you have perception, please. Or survival, that'll work too.
Those unfortunately. Ooh! What is the first proper crit fail get me, my friend?
So you slide down the ladder, fireman style, and it's dark. It gets darker as you go. You flip out your little finger lighter as you slide down to add some light to the situation. And seeing that the floor is now not that far below, you let go of the ladder and just jump off, landing, you hope, gracefully on the floor. As you get closer to the floor, you realize that there is something flat and circular sitting on the floor at the base of the ladder. And as your foot lands on it, you hear a click, and you have just enough time to say, "Oh shit!" as the incendiary mine explodes. And you take 14 points of damage.
Oh,
you may roll your armor.
Okay, well, what with my spicy food thing?
Yeah, that'll.
Do I get to apply that before or after halving?
I'll say you can halve it to 7 and then roll your armor.
Okay, let's do that. Holy fuck! I'm so glad I ate some spicy food this morning.
I intended the ramen thing to just be a buddy sort of maneuver. I was not expecting it to fucking save your ass.
Thank you so much. I rolled a 4 with my armor's absorb.
Lovely. So 3 points of damage. You feel the mine explode, and you feel the flames lick at your boots, run up your ankles and onto your pants, and you furiously bat at the flame with your hand, and the thick layer of grime and dirt and fungus suffocates the flame. You're vaguely aware of your skin tickling, and you peer down at your ankle, and the skin is bright red. Parts of it are peeling away. Go ahead, Frank.
Frank sees an explosion where his buddy had just gone, and I was thinking there's no way he's getting down that hole. The floor is not surviving. He is ripping the floor apart, and I will wear damage if necessary to rip the floor apart in seconds. He is getting down.
He was a mining robot.
Yeah, I'd say he was a mining robot, so he can do this without sustaining damage. As soon as he hears the explosion, he is digging. His hands are on the floor. He's punching into the concrete and gripping the sides of the shaft and just pulling with all his might, widening it so that it's wide enough for him. And then Frank just leaps down, and as he sees the plume of flame shoot up the shaft, he grabs PU by the arm and pulls him away, pressing against the wall as the flame shoots up. PU's ankles and his face are a little singed, but he barely feels it, and Frank saves him from the brunt of the flame's damage.
Frank, as always, you are a gentleman, a king, and a scholar.
No, I'm a mining bot.
Oh,
See, it says it right here on this little plate. They bolted onto me.
Oh, shit.
Put my head over the side of the hole. How's everyone doing down there?
A little bit toastier than I'd like.
A little bit toasty.
Is there still a way to follow down? Or is
Yeah,
it being removed?
the ladder's still there. It's just like rather than heading directly down, it's sort of like zigzagging, like it bends off to the left and then roughly course corrects, and the bars sort of loop in on themselves and head to the right. But there's enough ladder left that you're able to climb down and join the others, and you see the scorch marks on PU's face, and you smell the smoke. You see the black stains on the concrete walls of the shaft. But yeah, he doesn't look that different. But now that you're all down here, I was
going to say PU will crack a can of gamer juice, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
Probably a good idea. Cracks the can, gulps the gamer juice down. Go ahead, roll to heal.
5 points of healing. I'm back up to max, baby.
5 points of healing. Nice. Triumphantly, you toss the can aside and step out from where the landmine was. Your little lighter illuminating the pitch black darkness with its flickering orange flame. The shaft seems to open out into a long, narrow hallway that seems to go even deeper into the darkness underneath the junkyard. It's pitch black, but thanks to your lighter, you're able to see where you're going, and there's a couple of other landmines scattered along the way. These ones you see coming, with the light illuminating, and with Frank's proficiency in perception, you're given more than enough warning, and I think a couple of times Frank probably reaches out and physically pulls you back to stop you from stepping on the landmines at the last moment. The corridor continues on for several more feet until finally it ends, opening up into another little shaft with an arrow leading directly up to another trapdoor. But that's not what you're interested in, PU. Your eyes glimmer as soon as you see the single little floor safe set into the base of the wall just under the ladder.
PU flexes his hands, cracking each of the knuckles, each crack sending a flick of oil onto the concrete wall in front of him.
Oh, let's get to it.
And he'll pull out his lockpicks and go at the safe.
Go at the safe. And I'll say no roll. Go ahead, Ajul. What were you saying?
Does the tunnel end here, or does it keep going?
Seems to end here.
Okay.
So, if I had to guess from the map, it looks like they got a false incinerator for the boss's little stash here.
Yeah, maybe. And so, with no roll required, there's no time pressure, no trap. You easily crack the safe, and with relish on your face, reach down, wrench the door open, and find... I'd like each of you to go ahead, roll a d6 for me.
Hell yeah! I got a 3.
3.
Ooh, nice. What did Charlie get?
Charlie... Well, I'm not rolling for Charlie. I'll let Britt do it next session. A 5 for Frank, and what did Ajua get?
6.
So 3, 5, and 6. All right.
Good spread. Good spread.
Good spread. Definitely a good spread. So, you find, PU, a small plastic box, and as you crack the lid open, inside are 3 syringes filled with bright red glowing liquid. 3 doses of red juice.
Oh, shit.
Remind me what that one does?
That's just a D10 of healing.
Yes, it's a D10 of healing.
That could be quite handy.
Let me roll another. With your 5, Azure,
No, Frank got the 5.
Frank got a 5. Yep. So, with your 6 Azure, as PU lifts the red juice out of the safe, you scrounge around on the bottom and extract a tiny little green chip that you instantly recognize as an unmarked cred chip. You slot it into the slot on your cyber deck and the funds trickle into your account.
How much is that?
396 creds.
Oh,
Drop
nice.
straight into your account. And Frank, naturally being the biggest one, you ignore the little odds and ends that your friends are taking out of the safe. You see a big metal box. You reach down, wrench it out, and before anyone can say anything, you dig your hand into the side of the box and rip the lid off. And inside sits a most curious object. A single metal leg. Obviously some kind of prosthesis. As you extract the prosthetic leg from its box, everyone else stares on it, curiosity and amazement and awe on their faces as PU's flame allows you to take in the intricate network of wires, strange occult-looking glyphs, knobs, nuts and bolts that cover the prosthetic leg's surface. And this is Cyborg's equivalent of a magical item. I'm going to drop it in Discord so you can go ahead and read along. Because this, my friends, is a League. LEEG, or Logarithmic Emergency Egress Generator. When is a below-the-knee prosthetic leg not just a thing that lets you stand and walk? When it operates as an integrated ejection system, of course. If this puppy senses that all other protective measures have failed and your brain is in danger of being melted, it activates a rocket-powered piston that forcefully propels your body away from danger, a crude but effective device to save your precious grey gelatin. But there's a good chance it will damage whatever else you're using to connect, cables ripping free from their sockets, sockets ripped from your cranium. Ouch, you might say, but that's better than your brain oozing out of your ears and nose and you being unable to utter a heartfelt ouch, let alone anything else, right? If you fall to 0 HP or below, this prosthetic leg launches you to safety. The built-in AI can navigate closed spaces, and explosive remains from where you launch, dealing D6 damage to everybody in the vicinity.
Very interesting. Okay. Nice grab,
That's very
Frank.
nifty.
With the safe well and truly looted, the only thing that remains is to scale that ladder. Oh, I put it in the wrong channel, I just realized. That's why you couldn't read along. I put it in Coterie Huddle. It's meant to be in Grognard HQ. So I'll just put that there so you can see it later. The only thing left to do is scale the ladder and see what awaits on the other side of that trapdoor. Who'd I like to go up first?
Oh, Frank will.
Frank will this time.
You guys
Frank.
have noticed that when one of you gets hurt, he gets very, very mother hennish.
Very defensive.
It's a bit adorable.
The literal big brother, if you will. And so Frank grabs the ladder, and as he does, it seems to shudder under his weight, and for a brief second it looks as if he's about to wrench the metal ladder rung straight out of the wall, but somehow it remains intact. He slowly but carefully scales it, and then presses the palms of his hands against the underside of the trap door, deftly pushing it open, allowing him to scramble out the other side. The rest of you quickly follow, and Charlie, the last, pulls himself out of the hole, leaning over, using his free hands to help his faithful canine companion scale the ladder. And then you look around. You're no longer in the main structure of the facility. According to your map, you're in Incinerator A. But it's no incinerator at all. It's obvious. It's obvious that there was an incinerator here at one point. The big open room has marks and indentations on the floor where heavy machinery must have once been installed. But at some point in the past, probably a long time ago due to the thick layer of dust that now coats everything, it's been cleared away, and the remainder of the room has been repurposed into, well, if you had to think of the best way to describe it, it would be a panic room. The corrugated iron walls are almost covered inch to inch in computer screens, monitors, control panels, each of them displaying a different angle of the junkyard outside, each of the buildings, each of the rooms. Hidden cameras buried deep in the piles of trash themselves, where they'd be impossible to spot by anyone giving them a cursory glance, but the boss of Moss Sanitation, whenever they feel like it, they're able to spy on every aspect of their domain.
Let us spy then.
This is why I can't fucking stand wagey shit. Look at this. Some man standing over you all day, telling you what to do. God, how can anyone live like that?
Alright, once you know it's there, you can use it against them.
You sure can.
Frank is going.
Go ahead, Frank.
Use idiot's luck, and he's going to walk over and intuitively find the microphone that allows him to speak into the room where all the people are hiding, and the sorters who are panicking. And he's just going to say, because he wants to reassure them, we can see you. We know where you are. We got information about where you live and your family, and we can see them.
Instantly on one of the monitors, you see all of the employees huddled together in the office, just shudder as the terror washes over them. And you can't hear what they're saying. There's no microphone on their end. But the single one of them who's ungagged, the one who PU threatened with the photo of his children, instantly goes white in the face. His mouth drops open, and you see him just embrace two of the other co-workers as they huddle together in sheer, horrific, stunned silence.
Look at that, Frank. They seem overjoyed at the news.
he's looking at his friend going, he hasn't pressed the microphone, so they're not going to hear this, but I forgot to untie him. I better put that to rights. Don't worry, we're coming for you now.
The woman with dirty blonde hair looks up around the room, her eyes as wide as dinner plates, and you watch as the three employees that are huddled together seem to merge into one shivering entity, and the other employees scattered at various points in the room just crawl as fast as they can, like scared cats, speeding across the room, burying themselves in the quivering pile of misery.
Have they made any progress using the burning magnesium piece?
Not a single inch. So
That's right. We'll come by if they haven't made any progress after we're done.
you're about to scan the bank of monitors for signs of your enemy, see where they may be hiding, but as you begin to sweep the monitor bank, taking in all the sights of the junkyard. Suddenly, one by one, the video feeds flicker and die. And as they're cut out, they're replaced by a red screen with a faint orange logo.
Fucking cord.
It looks like... At first you think it's cord. You're expecting to see the Minotaur fade in on the solid red. Instead...
Oh no.
You see a single arrow pointing straight down. Not straight down. The bottom of the arrow is pointing down to the floor, but the shaft of the arrow zigzags a little bit in the middle, like an arrow on a stock chart gradually trending down. This lingers on the screen for a few more moments and then fades away, replaced with solid black. And framed against that solid black background is a woman with long blonde hair, pale skin, blue eyes, wearing fairly sophisticated looking gold-rimmed spectacles and dressed in a very flattering, form-hugging white suit. She smiles, revealing teeth so white that it seems like light emanates from them. "You found the dragon's den, everyone," she says.
She reeks of corpse, doesn't she?
She sure does.
Oh, yeah.
Hughes spits at the screen.
"You've passed the test! Congratulate yourselves!" "There's no use talking back," she says, seeing PU spit on the ground. "I can't hear a thing you're saying. No microphones on that end that link to where I am." Go ahead, de jure.
I just make an obscene gesture.
Now, we can be friends. Sure, I look poor, but...
Is there a way for Frank to just simply pass his hand through all of the monitors and blow them up?
Yeah, if he wants to just grab his cricket bat and just run at it like charging, scraping the tip of the...
He's just gonna walk. He's just gonna stroll through them and just very nonchalantly just bang, bang, bang. Every single one of them just gonna pop. And
Leave a couple of them. I would like to hear what she's saying. For now.
Oh,
Frank's...
Azure just stops him as he's gone through like 4 of them or something. He goes,
Yeah.
"Radio."
The voice in his coat just says, "His batting average has gone up. He's on his way to the golden century, Jones." "Yes, I quite agree, Michael." And the woman on the monitor just sort of smiles, amused. She can't hear you, but she can see what you're doing, and she says, "Good choice. See, look, I know how it looks. You see the suit, you see the glasses, you think I'm Corp, right? But it doesn't have to be the corpse that have style. They don't have a monopoly on looking good. You get what I'm saying, don't you, Azure?"
Style.
"Sure. What passes for style in your excuse for a hacker collective may not pass for style where it really counts, but hey, when you work for the Shortfall Collective, you gotta dress like you mean something," she says, clasping her fingers together. "And Azure, what's your knowledge?"
As a roll, or what's my knowledge score?
Just your knowledge score.
+2.
+2, and with technology, that's more than enough. She
Oh,
says
yeah,
the word
+4.
shortfall, and instantly, if anyone's looking at Azure, the angry face on her monitors replaced with just a single exclamation mark, registering her shock. She raises her hand to where her mouth would be.
Donks.
The Shortfall Collective. If Ghost was a legend 20, 30 years ago, a Shortfall Collective are the legends now. They sell their services to the highest bidder, to the most expensive corpse, the most powerful people inside, using their vast powers to manipulate the stock market, sway public opinion, and mold the very fabric of cyberspace in the image of their usually but not always corporate masters. If they're contacting you, something big is going down. The woman on the screen seems to realize what you're thinking. She smiles, once again beaming her white teeth. Know who we are? Good. That thing you're after? The gallbladder? The thing that Mr. Greensleeves snuck away from TG Labs? We want it. You find it for us, bring it to us, and we'll pay you double what he's gonna.
Theo turns to the rest of the group.
I'm not doing shit with suits over here. She can take care of fucking Pearly Smile to the pearly gates.
Double, says Charlie. Why not triple?
I'm tempted by double. But we can't exactly talk back at the moment.
You can't, but you've got a helmet that can signal many different things.
We
have index
3X
fingers.
just appears on my.
You have index fingers.
3X just appears on my screen.
Triple, says the woman, smiling. Triple, sure, we can handle it, but Azure, your name's come up a couple of times now. We've been keeping an eye on you. You've got a bright future, and if, well, you understand how much you're worth, and you want to ask for triple, I'll counter with my own offer. Grab that gallbladder for us, we'll give you triple, and in return, you can consider yourselves associates of the Shortfall Collective. That is, we need dirty work done, we know who to get it done. With appropriate rewards, of course. No need to decide now, says the woman, once again smiling. Just let the offer percolate. Let it circulate in your heads. But if you decide Mr. Greensleeves ain't a client worth shit, after you grab that gallbladder, drop it off at the coordinates I'm uploading to your RCDs now. She winks, and a little exclamation mark pops up on the very edge of your HUD, indicating that a message has dropped into your inbox. Bring it to us, and we'll talk.
Now, Azure has taught Frank that she does not want him accepting mail from random people, so he has
instantly deletes it.
He
Especially when they're offering you money.
The special delete protocols that she has loaded onto him. If it don't come from Azure or from PU or from Charlie, he no longer opens mail. Full stop, no ifs, no buts.
The woman rolls her eyes. Well, as long as one of you has it, bring us the gallbladder, and we'll talk. Discuss appropriate monetary rewards. We can pay far more than Mr. Greensleeves or any of his cronies at TG Labs could ever offer. Keep that in mind. By the way, I know who you are. PU, Charlie, Frank, Azure. So it's only fair you have a name to attach to my face as well. You can call me Astrid Anderson. I'll be in touch. Astrid winks one more time, and then her image flickers away, and the video feeds showing the security footage of the junkyard begin to reappear one by one, filling the terminal panels that cover the wall.
If I can clarify, the fact that she knew that a robot deleted some files that had just been sent to it, does that tell Azure that they were bugging Frank's brain and that they've already somehow infiltrated him?
I would say it'd be fairly obvious to Azure, with her knowledge of technology, that she may not be in Frank's brain, but she certainly was in Frank's RCD. She's probably been in all your RCD. She's probably been watching ever since you stepped foot into the junkyard. She's probably seen everything you've seen tonight and has been silently judging, silently calculating, silently planning, and finding
as well.
And maybe, but you're not sure. It'd be much easier to get a direct visual feed than listen. She did seem to understand what you were saying when she was talking to you on the screen, even though there's no logical way she could. Either way, it looks like you passed some kind of test. Finding the hidden room, finding the boss's hidden cache, that was enough for her.
Doesn't desperately go and take a leak.
What's that? I didn't quite catch you.
Yeah, go ahead. Repeat, Frank.
I was saying, given that she's got a direct line in on our RCDs, I'm wondering if PU doesn't need to go and take a leak.
Pia was like towards the end of her conversation, Pia had already started to drop his pants to flash her.
Yeah, and that probably coincided with her rolling her eyes.
He was gonna moon her and just give her a nasty little surprise to her little camera feed, but now that she's gone, he's not exactly happy about it.
Is there any action I can take now that could secure the video and or audio feeds of our RCDs?
Yes.
Against intrusion.
You could.
Before I start discussing what we're gonna do about this.
You could. Go ahead and make me a knowledge technology roll. I won't tell you what the DR, it will be hacking.
Alright, then I will roll with advantage.
No time pressure after all.
Oh, yes, true. I hope not. And then knowledge and technology is +4, so we'll see how we go. That's a 20.
20. So, you have no idea how, Azure, but as you start parsing the innards of your RCD, start to sift through the data, watching the feed pop up on the little readout of your cyber deck, you discover a very small, very subtle tracking cookie has at some point been uploaded into your RCD. Here's the thing, you have no idea when or how this could have possibly occurred. The timestamps and the metadata attached to it have been completely scrambled. There's no way to tell where it came from or when it was lifted, when it was uploaded into your system. And sure enough, as you deftly hack into the RCDs of your companions, you find the same thing in theirs. You strip the tracking cookies out, quickly delete them, and secure the connection, rewriting the security protocols and buffing them just in case. Though you suspect that if anyone from the Shortfall Collective really wanted to get in, anything you could do would only delay them for mere moments.
Except he knows
safely for now, but I wouldn't trust it to last very long.
She knows that it would have happened before she gave Frank his new rules, because he doesn't have the imagination not to not follow her rules. They wouldn't have been able. They wouldn't have been able to get the cookie into him from the point after she said, "No, you're not talking to anybody but the three of us." That's just the
Other
beginning.
ways to get cookies into things than just opening up emails.
Well, I suppose that's true. Or if the cookie was piggybacked on something that one of you sent him, but it still gives you. It could still give you a
Especially if it's like a
reasonable.
virus on one of us.
So, she can't hear us now, says Charlie. What do we
for the time
make
being.
of all this?
I ain't working for no fucking cult for no fucking
We
reason.
can use her, I'm sure. That is a lot of money. I don't like suits any more than you do. I want to see the whole system down, but you've got a very big debt.
Yeah, debt schmet. You'll pay it off eventually. Either that or you die, and then you don't have to pay it off. You know, it works out.
I'm sure I like betraying our current client, says Charlie. But double, triple, that's a lot of money. Rusty
The
could
shortfall
certainly get a
collector's
lot of
not someone to
upgrades.
Cross. They'll make our lives difficult. If we
Why
don't.
do you think they want this gallbladder anyway?
It might be worth it. You said it deals
Break
with
down
poisons,
fats
right?
and oils.
Fats and oils. Well, they must have an incredibly unhealthy diet, says Charlie, and beside him, Rusty just barks, wagging his tail. Woof! Bark! 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 Yes, boy, they probably eat far more unhealthy than you do.
First things first, we need to get the gallbladder before we can do anything.
Search the dragon's den.
And there's still the Minotaur group here.
Ah, somewhere in here, and with this bank of monitors at your disposal, you'll easily be able to find them. But, with that, we will end this week's session. What seemed to be a relatively simple job turned into something so much more. You blasted your way into the junkyard, found that someone else had already beaten you here, found that the junkyard itself was merely a ruse for something far more valuable, something potentially far more dangerous. And now, a client with power and resources that dwarf anyone else has reached out to you. Reached out to a group of punks with only the very first baby steps of a reputation behind their names. This could be your chance to climb the ladder. It could also be a trapdoor waiting to open and dump you into the acid bath below.
I think we've established what we do to trapdoors and ladders.
Hank does to them.
So please keep your HP as it is, but go ahead and re-roll your roll to regain your glitches for me. And at this point, I will take the opportunity to announce that at the start of this job, I rolled to see if a debt collection would be triggered. Next session, a debt collection will indeed throw another spanner into a job that's already spiraling out of control.
Yikes.
These guys work for TG Labs, PU.
Uh-oh.
They've come to reclaim the gallbladder. But when they see that PU is here in Moss Sanitation, well, they're probably going to stop at nothing to secure themselves an extra payday.
Well, shit.
Prepare yourselves, punk. You're out of the frying pan and into the fucking fire.